Social media reaction genre, silly comments are considered especially heinous. At Dear Woke Christian, the dedicated content creators who investigate these horrible comments are members of an elite squad known as the Dusty Comments Unit. These are their stories.
Woo! It's Donald Trump's second, third week of office, and boy, oh boy, does he have people in their feelings. We are back. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. We're going to be talking about a lot of the stuff that's been happening this week. I just want to hear your thoughts on it. So we're going to be doing a lot of comment aggregation. So please jump into the best live chat on the internet. Say hey to everybody. And if you do have a question or concern or something you want to add to the Discord, please add question. I didn't add that on my, I didn't add it. All right. Please add the word question or capital Q and just put question one way or another. And then we'll just go about answering. I got a couple of guests that'll probably be dropping in throughout the night. So we're just going to have a good time. This is going to be kickback, super laid back, but I do want to chum the water, so to speak. So shout out to Decoy Voice, a fantastic content creator over here on these YouTube streets. And he did a good summary of what's been going on. And I just want to bring it in to chum the water. Let's go. Let's happen it. What's going on, Decoy Voice? Let's go, sir.
After President Donald Trump paused all funding to USAID, or the United States Agency for International Development.
USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out.
As our government is wasting millions of our tax dollars overseas.
These are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces. $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either.
And the more you look into it, the worse it gets, as we apparently paid $500,000 for 37 subscriptions to the liberal publication Politico. $40 million went to South Africa for their transgender prostitutes. And probably the worst part were the millions that went to funding immigration into the country. Most notably, the unaccompanied kids. Tens of millions of dollars in several payments totaling $1.2 billion. So once Americans started noticing, the Democrats started panicking.
No one elected Elon Musk to nothing. Elon Musk is a Nazi nepo baby. Take your foot off my neck.
I have never seen the Democrats so aggressively upset over anything. Not Democrat states getting burnt to a crisp and receiving pennies to rebuild. Not Americans being kidnapped in terror attacks overseas. But the taxpayers seeing where their tax dollars are going makes them absolutely lose their minds. So if you appreciate knowing what's really going on, subscribe to Decoy Voice for more clips like this. As Congresswomen are shouting, "We gonna be in your face" to the person that's exposing them.
Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all. All right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. Instead, we are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your ass. And we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like. This ain't it.
Where it sounds like they're openly calling for riots again.
We will not take this. We will fight back. Fight back. Fight back. And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and goddamn it, shut down the Senate. We are at war.
Then the EBT class was quick to follow their marching orders.
Elon Musk has got to go.
He said
Even
EBT
well
class.
into the evening. And I keep seeing this sentiment of evil Elon is receiving our tax information, when I'm not really worried that a billionaire and his tech geniuses are going to open up a credit card account in my name. I'm more worried about Congress taking my money to fund news outlets that turn around and lie for them, then putting us trillions of dollars in debt in result. As the Democrats are now employing very familiar wording.
Push legislation to prevent unlawful meddling in the Treasury Department's payment systems and protect Americans across the country. We call our legislation Stop the Steal.
They are raiding the government, attempting to steal taxpayer money.
I'm sorry, but stealing back my stolen money isn't called stealing, it's called recovery. They're only calling it stealing because they can only see it from their perspective, as they think they're entitled to wasting my tax dollars. They want us to get all riled up like them, so they're going to those same tired talking points of stealing democracy. No, Donald Trump was elected democratically, so that's how this works, and them saying nobody elected Elon Musk, when in actuality, we kinda did. This is exactly as advertised.
I'm going to have Elon Musk. He is dying to do this. He's a great business guy, and he's a great cost cutter. You've seen that.
They even had a several-hour-long conversation on Twitter Spaces discussing in detail how they would dismantle government spending. We keep seeing this fabricated narrative that Trump voters are regretting their decisions as he immediately secured the border, investigated USAID, and most recently, protected women's rights in sports. When this is everything we wanted in just a couple weeks, the only ones panicking are the establishment Democrats about to be exposed, as they're blocked from even getting in the USAID building.
You are aware this agency is very busy currently, and they are not able to take a meeting currently. They advise that they will be in contact shortly, and that best to contact the Department of State at this time if you need any further comments.
Who is they?
The front office of the administrator.
I talked to the security guard just in there. He said he has been given specific orders to prevent employees of USAID from entering the building today. And I just find that to be absolutely ridiculous. You know, this is no way to govern. This is no way to treat public servants. And this is no way for us to conduct our foreign policy as a country.
No, this is what the people voted for. This senator just forgets that he works for us. We pay his paycheck, and if we want him sitting on the sidewalk to watch as we uncover their corruption, that's exactly where his shift should be. But now, what looks like state-sponsored media is parroting their propaganda.
We have learned just how fragile our democracy is, and how relatively easy it is for someone who's determined and really well-funded to steal and corrupt it. If you are going to write a playbook for how to steal a democracy in less than 20 days, it would sure look a lot like this.
What's happening right now is a hostile takeover of the U.S. government. There's no other way to describe it. I mean, this takeover is also happening at the direction of his unelected best friend, Elon Musk.
It's kind of funny to talk about this being state-sponsored media when it's literally the state's mouthpiece rearranged from press secretary to member of the press, essentially reiterating the same thing she said in her last role. And now we know why, as the Associated Press apparently took in millions of the taxpayers' money. Reuters also received millions for testing and measuring large-scale deception, and Politico received over $8 million taxpayer dollars aside from those subscriptions, to which alarmingly, once that government money was cut off, they apparently couldn't pay their people. Now they're calling it a glitch, and coincidences do happen, but honestly, if this so-called news organization can exist without being propped up by the taxpayers, they truly are state-sponsored media. So no wonder they always sounded like Chinese-style state-sponsored media. And right on cue, here's CNN siding with China.
Donald Trump says, "We don't care. You go die." That's the message from the United States government. It is the wrong message to be sending, and it opens up the door for China and other people to say, at least we're a stable government who's not going to leave you out here to die. That's what this is not an abstract conversation for people around the world.
It's literally gone beyond parody at this point. They'd rather us switch to Chinese communism than let the taxpayers see where their tax dollars go. Because, spoiler alert, they don't go where they say they are.
Trump should cut everything completely. He shouldn't even make it 90 whatever days. He should cut it completely. We don't need it. It rather goes to other individuals, but not us.
We have depended on US aid for over 60 years, and the moment the owners of the money say, let's take a 90-day pause so that I audit where my money is going, suddenly the whole country goes into a frenzy. And this should be a moment of reflection for Uganda and the African continent in general. We have been asking for a very long time to be liberated from colonialism, neo-colonialism, and now that the opportunity presents itself, for some reason, we are complaining. Because let's get something straight. Often the money given to us in foreign aid is lost to corruption, misuse, depleted and overrated salaries to particular individuals, or sometimes we lose billions of money that are unaccounted for.
And it's actually eye-opening to see all this going down in real time. As a while ago, I hired a guy from Nigeria, and he told me how American aid destroys the local economy. How it's hard for anybody to build something simple as a clothing business when America just drops in a bunch of junk for free. And that's if the aid actually gets there. As I remember him showing me a compilation of Nigerian politicians pretending to faint when being exposed for corruption. And that was a compilation of the constant politicians that steal from the people. And finally, America is getting to the bottom of it.
With money going to all sorts of groups that shouldn't deserve to get any money, with the money, I'd like to see what the kickbacks are. How much money has been kicked back? Who would spend that kind of money?
So now this is starting to make sense.
We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest.
As every inch of information we received about USAID points to the laundering of our money, and I have a hunch that this is eventually going to lead directly to them. So if you appreciate my concise, light-hearted commentary on how America is finally back, hopefully I've earned your subscription and we can chat again soon.
Shout out to Decoy Voice, fantastic content creator. I'm glad he did that. And again, tonight we're just going to be talking. We're going to chum the water. I use that to chum the water. I got my guest backstage. He really, really, truly needs no introduction. But let me go ahead and nonetheless and bring him up in here. It's the good brother, the Right Reverend, Mr. Brian Shannon. How are you, sir?
Man, what's happening, man? Am I coming through?
You coming through fine, my friend. Coming through fine. All right. So, Brian Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself, just in case some of my guests, my audience, don't know who you are.
Yes, sir. So I am a men's pastor, associate pastor on staff at Cornerstone Chapel out here in Leesburg, Virginia, in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. So I'm, as I mentioned, a men's pastor. I also spent 20 years in public education before being called to full-time ministry. So this conversation will be very interesting tonight.
Absolutely.
And also recent author of a book called Missing Pillars, where I'm talking about the Black father absence issue in America.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you, man. All right, we got, oh my word. Why?
What's up with you, bro?
What's up with you? Bro, we got, you can't be a DEI guest, my guy, because we actually have too many black men on here, man. We gotta get rid of you, man.
Well, in the spirit of 2020, I identify as Korean.
Oh, okay. Problem solved. Yeah. All right, carry on. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Mike from White Label Consulting. Sir, how are you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing, bro?
Oh, not bad at all. Y'all got a lot going on out there in that Arizona desert, sir. We might need to talk about what y'all doing out there, man. Why y'all protesting like that?
Yeah, we've had a lot of protests over the last
2 weeks.
I want to say the last 2 weeks. It really got heavy this week. The week before was like they had a little they had smaller protests. One of my friends works at a school. They actually had a national pull your kid out of a day school. So they actually were asking Latin workers, let me just say undocumented, whatever your race
for
was,
sure.
Take I think it was last Monday, off work, off school, off everything. So she was like telling me that they had a ton of kids absent on a Monday, and they test on Tuesday. So then that Tuesday they were absent on Tuesday for testing, even though they hadn't been to class Monday. And then the protests got bigger and bigger down at the Capitol over the last week. It's been growing, mainly meeting at the Capitol. Me, myself, I don't know if ICE has even made it to Phoenix. It would seem like it would be a hotbed for
the ice is melted. Yeah.
I don't know if we've had because nobody even said anything about any major quote unquote ICE raids here. And I'm I got jobs. I got time for some stuff, but I don't know. I don't know if we've had any, but I know we've had a lot of protests, blocking streets, different thing like that. As far as I know, nothing violent or anything that's happened, but it has been very, very tense here over the last couple of weeks. And then obviously with a lot of the transition and changes that are being made with the executive orders, being that I predominantly work in a lot of African-American churches, they have been on edge for the last, and they've been on edge and because we don't talk about politics
since November. Yeah.
Well, no,
They're going instant.
this week has been a lot more, a lot harder for them, especially those who are more traditional Baptist churches, black churches, and so they have been a little bit more. What are we going to do? Type fear mongering, and we don't really talk about politics that much enough to have a balanced discussion, which is why I really don't try to get into it with a lot of people. Mainly because I tell them, hey, I work on YouTube. I work with a lot of creators from the right and the left. So I'm really not as political as you think I am. I'm more informational. So you're going to comment on something that my routine every day is to run through CNN, your Fox News, your MSNBC, DeVory Dawkins, your show, April's show. So while I'm working, because I'm in the studio, I got 5 TVs, I'm consuming information just so I don't get sucked into not knowing actually what's happening. A lot of people are not in that mind frame right now. And I've been really living on Ground News, because Ground News gives you I don't know if you're familiar with that app. It does give you the titles and who's reporting it, and read some of the articles. But yeah, it's been doom and gloom, like, fifth book of Revelation out here. It's crazy. So,
I got you.
Like the seals was opening. So, you know what I mean? So
there you go. They're cracking. Well, man, thank you so much for stopping through. All right, Brian Shannon, let's go. Let's talk about it. Today, they shut down the Department of Education, man. What in the world? What in the world? And by the way, I have a really dope article. Shout out to my guest for dropping this on us. We might save that for a little later, but I just want to get your overall thoughts, man. What do you think about shutting down the Department of Ed? What is that? Let's go, Brian.
Well, I'll tell you, my time spent in public education, I've seen the overreach of the federal government, and that, basically they've become, this entity that just serves to, run schools from the big ivory tower by dangling federal dollars over them, saying you'd better, implement these policies, you'd better, walk with, embrace this legislation. And so I'll give you an example. The time before I left the schools, I saw the introduction the change in the perversion of Title IX, right?
Yep.
Which used to be there to protect the rights of girls in sports, right? We wanted opportunities for girls in sports. We wanted funding for girls in sports. If there was boys soccer, we wanted to make sure we had girls soccer. If there was boys weightlifting, we wanted to make sure we had girls weightlifting and things of that nature. And I saw literally before my eyes them allowing boys to compete in girls sports. I remember sitting down in a board meeting as an administrator, school administrator. So I was sent, because each school had to have what they called a Title IX representative for the school to make sure that we were enforcing all of the Title IX legislation, right? We would make sure that we had bathroom access for trans, boys who were transing, right? We had to make sure that there was somebody, holding schools accountable for doing that. So I remember sitting in this board meeting at the Board of Ed, and this representative from the State Department, who was telling us that here's what was coming down the pike, is that they were going to be across the state allowing boys who identify as girls to compete in sports. Now, that was about 8 years ago.
Yep.
7 or 8 years ago. They told me that was coming down the pike. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Don't we realize that there's biological and physical differences between boys and girls? And you know what this lady stood up and told me with a straight face? She played in all of our faces and said, we've determined based on our research that there's no real, meaningful difference between boys and girls at this stage.
Okay.
At high school. So I played high school athletics.
Yep.
I'm like, lady, you crazy. You're lying. I played high school basketball, and there was not one female basketball team that could compete with any of our boys basketball teams in high school. Not one.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Mike, you got anything you want to add to that? DEI, Terry, you want to add to the Department of Education was closed today?
Yeah, I mean, I believe your guest, Mr. Shannon, brings a more practical and intellectual and involvement into that part of it, from the part of being an educator. Me, myself, I'm a son of an educator. I have a more experiential, not that his experience, mine is more of a lower level experience, because I actually do volunteer at a public school right now. And I see how a lot of the policies that were implemented in to the school that I work at are really causing a lot of damage as far as the education level, as far as the discipline level, as far as a lot of things that the teachers can't even do to actually develop the kids to get them on a level where they're actually progressing and moving forward in life. And so my experience may not be from the policy side of it. Mine, me being, like I said, I volunteer at a school maybe 8 hours a week. I help out with the basketball team. I also help out with most of the sports and intramurals, and then I do a little bit of consulting with the boys that are there at the school. And I just see that the current system is broken. It's severely fractured. It does not help when you have kids in the 6th and 7th grade on a 1st, 2nd grade reading level, and they're being passed along on and on and on. I from time to time I help I basically kind of assistant teach and help grade papers, and to look at some of these kids that are looking at a video online and they're watching the video and they're hearing the video and they're seeing the words come up, and when they're asked to summarize the video, 40% of their words are spelled incorrectly when they have the resource in front of them. It's very heartbreaking. And even a lot of the kids had to do assignments. They're already being, because it's a predominantly minority school, they're already being victimized in the sense of how they're being treated, how they're being told to deal with life, how they're being told to progress, how they're being told to see different things. And then you have, and this is not a racial thing, but then you have the administrators of the school are white, and so they don't even really know how to interact with the kids when stuff like this happens. And so it's, from my experience on a lower level, it's very, very, it's evident that the Department of Education is not working. The standards, the practices, the rules, the mandates they have, all these different things that they are championing, like today with the whole thing with when they try to go break in the thing, we're like, well, we're doing it for the kids. No, you're not doing it for the kids. This generation is slower. This generation, and what I mean by that is because of technology, they're less likely to learn at a different pace that we had to learn to. And it's not saying they're less intelligent. They are learning some things we didn't have in technology, for sure. But there's practical things that they're not going to ever have to learn. AI is going to teach them how to budget. They're not going to have to learn how to write in cursive. They're not going to have to learn how to read books. Everything is audio based, and so when you have those steps in place, then it's, for people that aren't paying attention, like your co-host said, the system's been broken. It's been fractured for a long time. So if you've done your research and you've done actual research, the president wants education done at the state level, which actually would provide more funds for the students. Yes. It actually will also probably give tax breaks, and it will also significantly give kids an opportunity to go to better schools instead of being stuck having to go to the school where they don't have enough books, they don't have enough crayons at the school. Like, so I'm thinking, and I've been hoping this day would happen, and I know it's going to be a fight. They already tried to go in and break into the Department of Education this morning, and
Maxine Waters and him.
Poindexter shut him down. He let them know.
Shout out to Bill. Shout out to Bill.
Yeah, shout out to Sideshow Bob. He ain't let him in. Yeah, I mean, and then they had the brothers behind the glass with the guns. Like, hey, if y'all want to do this, we can. One guy was like looking like he wanted to fight. So you know what I'm saying. The big Asian dude was going to be in trouble. They was going to push Maxine Water down. I hope they don't get your podcast messed up. But yeah,
we're going to stop right there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother. Yeah. All right, so let's look at this article. Shout out. This is from The Hill Online. Let me drop this link in here too so you all can follow as well. Thank you so much to the 50 of you all that have already tapped in. I appreciate it. Go ahead and hit that like button. It don't cost you a thing. It's a great way of letting YouTube know that you like what we're doing over here, that social and political commentary from a Christian male perspective. Let's get at it. The U.S. Student Report Card proves we must abolish the Department of Education. Now, this came out on the 5th. And today, the 7th, they closed the Department of Education. You can't make this stuff up. And what does he say here? He says, my 101-year-old mother taught 1st through 8th grade in a one-room schoolhouse in Montana, later moving to Wyoming to teach. She did not have today's technologies available, but she successfully gave the children under her tutelage an excellent education that served them well throughout their lives. Shout out to the little schoolhouses. Many of them became highly successful in business, agriculture, and academia, and she was not alone. With thousands of teachers in both urban and suburban, rural areas, rural settings, being highly skilled at educating our students to excel and building this great nation in the process. We know how to educate children and have historically succeeded in doing so, turning out engineers, hydrologists, medical professionals, lawyers, businessmen, AG producers, resource managers, and other professions by the droves. Shout out to droves, not drones. We know this because the U.S. is unrivaled in the quality and the skill of our workers. All right. What you think about that so far, Brian? Because you sent me this article. So what'd you think about it?
Yeah. So she's talking right. So think about it. We're at a time period where we have more kids since the time of slavery, coming out of slavery, when we saw that there were efforts to help freed slaves to read and close the gap between the literacy gap between freed slaves and whites in our country. And when we saw that gap, largely obliterated during a time frame in our country where we had no government supporting education.
Right.
Now think about that. There was no government supporting education at the time, but these were individuals and communities who were teachers, these Black teachers and teachers who did this, and they partnered with other people, pool their own dollars, pool their own resources, and they closed the literacy gap between freed slaves and whites in America. Now, fast forward to a time period where we're on a decline with the number of people who can read. With more resources, with more technology, with all of these initiatives, we're on a decline with the number of kids who are literate. How can that be?
I'm going to tell you exactly how it could be. I'm going to do a quick little costume change, and we're going to bring in Benny Johnson. If you've seen this YouTube short, he explains it, and I'm glad that you brought that up. Watch this. One in the chat where you can hear.
I'm going to homeschool my kids. Check this out.
I'm 27 years old in a corporate job, and I do not know how to spell.
I can't read.
Okay. Because I'm from the generation where I'm in 5th grade and I had a laptop with spell check on it.
Let's have a spelling contest.
That's ridiculous. So now I'm 27 years old, listening to podcasts on how to sound out words and how to spell. Because I don't know how. Mind you, I'm educated. I have a bachelor's and I cannot spell. Ask me how to spell any word. I can't do it. I cannot do it. And if I can't spell, I know my little sisters who are a generation behind me, they can't spell either. We're toast.
All right. I just thought that was good. I had that queued up, ready to go.
Yep.
And I've seen several people in the comments even talk about how they're not able to spell. I'm sorry, relatives are not able to spell, so on and so forth. And of course, substantiating what Mike said earlier, that I think technology, albeit a great tool, was introduced entirely too early to certain generations. I don't think certain cohorts, I think there should have been a limit, never before 15. Never before 15. But I mean, I'm slapping my own hand because Chief Executive Second Born got access to technology way sooner than that because her sister, we kept her away from it till she was double digits. But her sister was already accessing it, so it was hard to keep them away from it. But that's not an excuse. But go ahead. What are you about to say, Brian?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you. So let me tell you what the department. So go back to the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what they took on the role of doing instead of because for years we heard all of these theories in education. So I started in the classroom for about 6 years. Then I became an administrator, right? And so I studied all of the instructional theory and studied the instructional practices and best practices and how to engage students and how to move students forward with literacy. And I wrote my thesis paper on 21st century technology and literacy. So we talk about all those things, right?
For sure.
But what the Department of Education slowly became over the 20 years I was in education, they became this hub for what they called socio-emotional learning.
Yep. I remember
Socio-emotional learning, where it was all about trying to teach kids, instead of teaching them how to read and write, instead of teaching them how to access, they were teaching them how to engage emotionally with their peers. And then it became a progression toward anti-bullying practices, right? Yep. And so it's nothing on the surface, there's nothing wrong with anti-bullying, but that became a big push because they even had what they called a safe schools. Everybody familiar with the whole term safe schools? They had a safe school czar, right? The Safe School Czar, and they implemented this curriculum where everybody, including teachers, had to go through this curriculum of anti-bullying and safe schools and how to make safer schools. And it was all about socio-emotional learning. And what that actually slowly became was an indoctrination and an embracing of LGBTQ and queer ideology.
That was it.
I was like, whoa, wait a minute. We started with anti-bullying, but how is it that now we're on queer, embracing queer ideology, queer stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And so it transitioned. That was slowly, it was trickling in. And so we now what do we have? We have schools where they got rainbow flags in all of the classes. What have they been teaching our kids? Social reform. They've been teaching our kids social stuff, right? Teaching them how to capitulate to the culture, teaching them how to do this. Then critical race theory became a thing. So they were saying, well, it wasn't being taught in the classroom, not critical race theory per se,
right.
Critical race theory ideas. And let me tell you how I know that. Because I was a DEI trainer in the school system.
Wow.
And my job was to train teachers about why they had implicit bias and why they needed, if they were white and they weren't minorities, why they had to clear their lens in order to teach minority students, because they're bringing implicit bias and things of that nature. And so it was all about this, why certain groups of people are behind and certain groups of people are ahead. Right, this oppressor versus oppressed paradigm, this victimhood mentality, right? And so then we get to the schools, and as an administrator, you know what my job was to focus on? My job was to focus on DEI, Brian. My job was to focus on how we needed to decrease the number of student suspensions.
Student suspensions. They always start with student suspensions
because minority students were disproportionately suspended at rates than other students. I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm sitting with some of my colleagues in a meeting, and we were all administrators, and we had predominantly black schools, right? And we looking at each other, and we looking at this stuff coming down from the federal government every year. We would have to sit down as administrators and look at our reports and say, here's where your suspension numbers are. You need to get them down. And the reason why they were pressuring us to get it down, because it was all about federal dollars. Because the federal government wanted to see, the Department of Education, they wanted to see you decrease that number. Why? Because there's this idea that wherever you have a disparity, there must be racism. That's critical race theory, my guy. And so because of all of those things, what we were doing is we were coddling students. Mm-hmm. We were telling them in predominantly black schools that we were suspending too many kids. It wasn't about the fighting, and it wasn't about their behaviors. It was just that there were too many black kids being suspended. Okay. And then me and my colleagues started looking at each other like, wait a minute, how you telling us that we're suspending too many black kids in predominantly black schools? What about the fact that there's a disproportionality in their behavior? And so
or the fact that there's all these black kids. They don't factor that in. Like, if there's only black kids in the building, you're going to have 100% black kids suspended. If there's 2 or if there's 200, it's going to be 100% because there's only black kids here.
So the school's energy, now, let me tell you what was going on. Let me tell you how this impacts instruction. The school's energy was spent trying to coddle to kids so that we didn't have to suspend them.
There you go.
So they started spending time. All the kids started having to see the school psychologist.
Yep.
All the kids started having to see the school counselors more and more and more and more to deal with behaviors. All the kids had to do this and that. Go ahead.
D.I. Terry.
Just remember I got something to say to that point when you come back. So you finish your part because you're making some good. You talking.
He's talking good. Let me go and give him big screen. Let me give him big screen.
Yeah, big screen. He talking good. Let him finish.
Go ahead.
Let him finish. Let him finish the meal.
So we see this progression, right? You see the progression.
Sure.
It went from the socio-emotional learning to the federal government, Department of Education, telling schools that you need to deal with your school from a framework of racial disparities, right? Racial disparities. And teachers, we need to teach the teachers that they have implicit bias, because it was all about capitulating to the kids and the parents in the community, right? It was all about making them happy because we needed to show them that we were being more anti-racist by trying to lower these suspension numbers and raise the literacy rates, because also black kids weren't reading at the rates of their white peers. And what they were asserting was that it was the school's fault. It was the implicit bias of white teachers' fault, but it had nothing to do with the fact that 70% of the kids had no fathers in their homes. Let me bring up my whole missing pillars talk. It had nothing to do with the fact that 70% of the kids had no fathers in the home, and the statistics tell us that kids without dads at home are 5 times more likely to be impoverished, 9 times more likely to have problems in school with things like graduation rates and suspensions, and 20 times more likely to be in the prison system or the criminal justice system. And so they totally ignore that fact, because here's what they teach you: you can't blame the victim, sir. It's got to be the school's fault. It's got to be white people's fault. And so the federal government began to put pressure on schools simply to capitulate, simply to pander to the minority populations, and they forgot to teach them. They're just trying to keep them in school so they don't have to suspend them. They're trying to overlook behavior so they don't have to suspend them, because they're afraid of big bad government taking away their federal dollars. So they spend their time on what we call PBIS. Y'all schools got PBIS?
They did. Yep.
PBIS, where your role was to reward good behavior in your kids and try to foster behavior. And again, this is all this social emotional learning, and you spend all this energy doing that. Meanwhile, these jokers ain't learning a thing.
No,
you're focusing on behavioral, emotional things, social things, and you're not focusing on instruction. And I'm not saying that teachers weren't trying to teach, but they spent their energy on just trying not to suspend DeQuayshawn.
Hey man, you leave DeQuayshawn alone.
Trying to keep him so that the parents won't be screaming at the teachers saying that you're racist and that's why you're kicking my kid out of class. So when is DeQuayshawn learning? Right?
No,
how many DeQuayshawns we got in inner city urban schools? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about why in Baltimore schools where 90% of kids are below or not at are not above or not can't go beyond grade level with regard to reading and math. 90% of them can't hardly find a kid who's at grade level above.
PBIS,
positive behavioral intervention systems.
Yeah. So instead of detention, instead of writing sentences, instead of going to stand in the corner, you have things like, let's get it.
Give them rewards.
Yeah, let's find a reward system. I never enjoyed. I always bucked against PBIS because I said it was going to get us here. I knew it, and I'm not even trying to be a prophet nor the son of a prophet, but I knew it was always going to get us here. So I was terrible at PBIS. I was always getting written up. I was always, admonished that I was not doing it correctly, and I never will. I never plan to. But you know what though? In order to make sure that our panel's implicit bias doesn't overwhelm the system, because we got entirely too many melanated people on here, so we got to speak truth to power and all that kind of stuff. I think we need to take a commercial break. So let's bring in a commercial break. All right, let's go. Mandy, what you got for us? Let's go.
So today, President Trump closed the Department of Education. I was not prepared for that. And armed the door with an armed security guard. So when the Democrat congressman showed up to get in, they were told no and weren't allowed through the doors. When they were demanding to get through, they were told to make an appointment with Linda McMahon. That was base. And when I did my research on it, apparently it's a slush fund. It's all a coup. They have been funneling money through the Department of Education for years. And since that time, I think it's the 70s is when it was, the grade point average has dropped, and every student that has come through the Department of Education through public schools, and the average 8th grader reads at a 4th grade education level. It's amazing. So it's gone back to the states, I think, where it should be. I'm here for it, President Trump.
I am too.
So today,
So
President
I thought that was good. And thank you so much, Mandy. I appreciate that. I agree. I think it needs to be the further away, and Brian, you can speak to this as well. The further you get as an administrator or an adult in education, many people that follow me know that I say the major problem with education is the adults.
Mm-hmm.
And the further the adults get from hands-on teaching of children, the more obtuse they become. So once you become grade level chair, once you become a assistant principal, academic coach, reading coach, principal, working in central office, the more steps you make away from actually being in 1B with 25 children every day, the more just nose blind you become. And I know this emphatically, but I just think it's interesting. So now back to my point. So if we're sending all our money to Washington, D.C., how in the world is Washington, D.C. going to properly give instruction for somebody in Wyoming or Phoenix, Arizona, or Atlanta, Georgia, or wherever you are? You could be, for crying out loud, you could be in D.C. You're still not going to get good. I mean, it's just not effective. But I digress. Go ahead, man. Were you going to say something, Brian? Look like you're about to say something. Maybe.
I was waiting on my guy, Terry, to jump in.
Yeah, you had something. Go ahead.
But listen, let me put this quote out there. So number one, you said some things, and I think you even alluded to this too, brother, was that one, school choice is going to be big.
Absolutely.
If they can implement the opportunity to allow parents to take those state dollars
Mm-hmm.
and to allow their child to go to the school of their choice instead of sending them to your average Joe school down the street, which is failing, right? And they're not good. The other thing is Thomas Sowell said this, and we can't ignore this. He said, I don't care how much money you're putting into education, and we put more money per capita per student, more money into every student than any other country in the world. Just about any other country in the world right now.
I think.
And so he said, I don't care how much money you pour into education. If you don't have the right home environment, if you don't have somebody putting these doggone kids to bed, you don't have somebody making sure they're fed, if you don't have, someone who is making them do homework and all the things that they need to do with the structure, making them get up on time, making them do the things they need to do, then you're never going to see gains in education. Now, a lot of folks don't have control over that. However, we're ignoring that and looking at also talking about how schools are failing when also we have failing communities. And
That's
until the education system learns to stop trying to socialize the problem at the school level and at the federal dollar level, trying to throw dollars at it, and look at what those deficits are really coming from, which is the home, and trying to implement some programs and structures that address the deficits on the home level, we're not going to see anything change. I don't care what we talk about. But anyway, go ahead.
No, good stuff. What you got, DEI, Terry?
So, in the middle of your in your speech, you talked about how the kids actually have a tendency to want to, when they have a problem, they have a whole bunch of ways out of not being held accountable for their actions, and that has been one of my biggest critiques at the establishment that I've been volunteering at, is that at any point that a student chooses to not want to be held accountable for homework, for bad behavior, for whatever, they have 3 outs, and they can go see the school clinician or the psychologist at that point. They can have a episode, what we call as a crisis, and then we have to call it and take them out. Or some students even have the luxury of calling their parents and having their parents come pick them up and take them home from the school. And that does not produce kids who are held accountable, 1, for their actions, 2, for their educational development. And I got to say, kids got to be held accountable like we were held accountable, right?
Sure.
We had homework, and if we didn't do our homework, we got a failing grade. And if we got a failing grade, there's a chances that we would be left behind. And kids have no way of being left behind unless some type of egregious type of where you just don't show up. And in some instances, they can't even give kids zeros now on their papers. They have to start at 50%. Like the grading scale in some schools, 81 to 100 is an A. 84, maybe a soft 84. There are way less ways for a child to fail in today's society because of the standards that the education department has. And I just want to say the standards that have been placed in the educational systems. I think the closing of the educational department being that I think it's roughly the numbers are like maybe $240 billion that they spend annually. That money would go back to the states. It should go back to the states, and they would have different things like block grants, and they would have different vouchers and possibilities. Like, I don't know if they, if you know, I just want to say, I just at this point don't believe anybody that is left of center wants success to happen. I just don't think that they're so busy fighting. They're basically you know, you never see a rally for people who are anti-unicorn, right? You don't see anybody in the middle of the streets throwing a three-armed dwarf convention, right? Because it's not there. They're always my point is that we don't fight against something that's not there. They're creating things to fight against without realizing you're fighting against the wrong fight. The fight is not against, it's not even against us and you. If you're parents, right, and you say that you want the best for your kids, then you should be on the same side. It shouldn't matter, you know, who's going forward and who's saying that. We are real life people who are watching our kids come home, can't read, watching our kids come home, and they're always on their digital devices, and the kids are not able to communicate, can't have a decent conversation, can't have just a normal day without being glued to a device or glued to a computer. Even most of the kids don't have to write anymore. They all got laptops. I mean, our school, every kid has a laptop that if something goes wrong, they take a laptop home. If the laptop gets broken, the school just gives them another one. Like, you know, I'm different. You break a laptop, you're going to have to use Etch-a-Sketch because we're not giving you another laptop. You got your one shot. Call it a day. You know what I mean? But I don't think that they really understand that the fight is not about us versus you. The fight is us fighting for our children. And even when you get further into, if you look at some of these videos on YouTube and some of how the liberal narrative being pushed in universities, of people that have, you know, I think I spoke to a high schooler before the election, and she was so terrified of Project 2025 and so terrified of all these different things. And it's like you're being coaxed to believe that you're already a victim. Right. No matter what the situation is, if you're a minority, you're not going to fail. If you're look, DEI works everywhere except the NFL and NBA because those are performance based, right?
Facts.
We don't have any strong Asian players that are dunking. We don't have a strong. We don't have a good Mexican dude is going down. They don't care. They want the best on everything, and so it's not even about, you know, being fair at this point. At this point, you're just trying to create this narrative that in school, in education, in colleges, and jobs, that if we make everybody equally have the same percentage of outcome, if we split it 33 and 33 or 25 20, if we give everybody the equal representation, that's the best thing for us. And it doesn't work like that. It simply does not work. We all can't be at the top of the food chain. Some of us are meant to be at the bottom and help the people in the middle. Some people at the middle or help the people meant to help the people below them and above them. And I think at this point with this whole Department of Education, they're looking at it like Department of Education has been our savior. Just look at the stats. Kids can't add, they can't read, they can't multiply. They without a laptop, it's almost pointless for them. They can't even get a regular job. I've seen people working in fast food joints where they can't even count back the change.
Yeah. It's
they have
sad.
to look at the screen and count out, and they have to put the change on the counter to figure out how to give you back 50 cents. Yeah. Like, that's crazy that we have to deal with this. So the accountability that you spoke of I experienced that a lot. And I told a couple of teachers that I can't tell, and the parents, look, that can't be talking like they want to go to psychology. Don't send them to me because I'm not letting them go. Like, I'm a volunteer. I can't get fired. So the thing is you got to understand, if you talking about you're about to have an episode, well, I'm going to have one too. We're going to have an episode together because you need to stay here and realize that your behavior is only going to put you further behind because you're going to end up in a facility. You're going to end up with a day off school, a week off school, and your parents, sometimes your parents just get fed up and they don't care. I'll just be honest with you. It's hard to say. Sometimes they just don't. They're tired of them not being able, because I know at our school where I work at, my hands are tied. Like, there's only so much I can say or do. I've developed a very mean look that says, hey, I'm going to meet you outside the gate. I'm going to wait till you get outside to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to say what I want to say to you now. because I know I would
Mike,
get in
you
trouble.
got control.
Well, I'm just saying some of the stuff that these kids do. One of the things that they do at the school that I would wish I could change is the kids don't call every teacher by name. They call the men Mr. and they call the men Mrs. They don't even address you by name. And for me, coming up, we never did that. You don't do a generic address to adults. You call the adults by their name. They see me, call me Mr. Mike. Don't call me Mr. I have a name. You have a name. You don't want me to call you by your name or your characteristic or nothing crazy or your racial ethnicity. You want me to address you like a human being. I want to address you. But that's, it's so common that a lot of these things that we're talking about that is common sense. Like you said, you got a school that's 97% black, and this government is trying to tell you it's too many black kids in suspension. The school is 9 out of 10 people black. What do you want us to put the last 3 little white kids in detention to make it even? Is that what you want? Is that what you need? Is that you just want us to make it fair? I don't believe that this generation is I don't want to call them dumb. I just think they're being taught this is how you function and operate, and it makes us, hard for us to do our jobs.
No, I agree with you, man.
You bring up a good point. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to address. You brought up a good point earlier because one of the books that they put in our hands when I was in the school system was a book called "Fair Isn't Always Equal." Now, what does that translate to you? It says fair is not always equal. So basically, what they're trying to say is that being fair and giving people equal opportunity is not equitable, such that we're trying to get the equal outcomes, right?
Right.
And so look at the parallel in society. Society says let's look, and I'm gonna say leftist society.
Mm-hmm.
Leftist society says let's go soft on crime. Let's not criminalize these black folks and these minorities who break into Target and Walmart and steal.
They're protesting Target right now.
Huh?
So they're protesting against Target right now.
They done
So they're not
stole
going there because they're
now they wanna
protesting.
protest them.
Right, there you go.
But
I don't care what
look at what they were
Brian
breaking
says.
into Apple stores. They were breaking into these high-end stores in Beverly Hills, and they were saying, Gavin Newsom was saying, "Hey, listen, it's inequitable for us to criminalize them and by making this a felony and all this bunch of stuff. So let's lower the bar so that if you steal under $900 worth of stuff, we won't criminalize you." Well, that translates to the same thing they're doing in education. Let's not give you a 0. Let's give you 50%. Let's lower the bar. And what do you do when you do that? You now are enabling a whole generation of people to see life through a lens that's not realistic, right?
I got you 100%.
And you lower moral standards.
And I think that's where we need to start circling the airport, that the moral standards are being shifted. We've changed from if you work hard, you're properly compensated.
Correct.
To everybody's gonna have the same thing. That's where I believe that we really slid off the rails, in that we're trying to, we are in ourselves trying to become God, in that we can determine outcomes. Like, no. One plants, one waters, but the Lord brings the increase. At the end of the day, we're trying to say one plants, one waters, and I can tell you what you're going to get from that.
Right.
And all we got to do is this. And again, if anybody's been in education or had children who've grown up over many years and decades and whatnot, you've seen all the different tries, all the different experiments. I say that education is the biggest social experiment that we've ever seen. They try things out all the time. I would not be surprised if they said that little boys learn better if they wear a blue baseball cap to school. I would not be surprised if one day we see that, because they're just trying stuff out. So PBIS, it's going to fall away because they're going to try something new. They're going to try something else. But the old tried and true of parents teach morals, teachers teach reading, that's gone. That right there is old, dustbin. But PBIS and all these other things are the exact same.
We spent a lot of our childhood when we learned about historical figures, especially talking in the African American context. We spent a lot of time examining that one day we would be not judged by the color of our skin.
Right.
It would be the content of our character. And that's what we grew up on. Today's political climate, we're going to solely give you affirmations and rewards based on the color of your skin. We don't care what the content of your character is. We don't care if you can read. We don't care if you're proficient in your skill set. All we care about is, can we make our organization look like a bag of Skittles? That's it. We don't care if we don't care if half the Skittles are M&Ms. We don't care if some of the candy in there is not even the right thing. The bowl looks like it's a bunch of Skittles, but they're not the same thing. We don't care about that. We've been conditioned in this age to make what you see, which is race, such of a primary a conversation piece, and make it such the focal point now that it's almost like it doesn't matter what your character is. Because even if you look at some of the things that our community espouses to, none of that care. I don't care what color you are. What are you doing? Like we weren't raised like that. We were raised the opposite, and our heroes were raised to teach us that, hey, yeah, you might have some struggles, but if you just focus on your struggles, you're never going to concentrate or even find out what the victories are. You're just going to concentrate on all the things that are wrong. And so today, it's so chaotic to have to talk about race in every single conversation. I'm sure canceling the Department of Education is racist. I'm sure it is. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that you're canceling the Department of Education and wanting to sit. I'm sure giving kids school choice is racist, because even if you give them a grant and transportation to the school of their choice, it's racist because they didn't get to choose it on their own, because they couldn't make their own decision and raise their own money. I'm sure it's racist that they didn't let Maxine Water in the Department of Education with the Asian dude and the other little black dude that looked like Michael from Good Time. I'm sure that they was upset that they didn't get to go in when clearly the man said that it was reported. They wrote a letter yesterday saying, we want to meet with you. When they didn't get an answer, then they just
rolled up.
Let's just all roll up. So obviously, it's 100 people rolling up.
Not gonna happen. No.
It doesn't matter. You can agree with or not agree. It doesn't matter what organization you're in. If I'm at a door and I see 100 people roll up, there's a chance I'm gonna say, "What are y'all doing?" Just out of common sense. But they just, we just went. Well, we had a meeting. No, you're lying. You didn't have a meeting.
You didn't have a meeting. You wanted a meeting.
Let move out the way. Let us in. You're so focused on defending your viewpoint that your character is now diminishing, and your character of what you're representing is not being communicated in the way that it should be. And I just think that it's sad that it's hard, like you said, it's hard to raise a kid with morality when they go to school and find out that morality doesn't even matter. It's just the external characteristics you have that you can't change. That's what we're going to hold you by. So
right. And we'll give you a Grammy if you complain enough about it. Oh, shots fired. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Brian's like, what are you talking about, man? We'll give you a Grammy.
Were you talking about the Grammys the other night?
Yeah, we'll give your cousin a Grammy. You know what? I'm gonna give myself
flag on each and every one of y'all.
All right. Yeah. Let's go. Let's finish this up. So I'm reading the Hill article that Brian Shannon sent me. It is linked in the chat if you want to check it out, or we're just reading through it too slow, one or the other or both. The National Center for Educational Statistics. What happened? What happened? It's an ad. Okay, there we go. All right.
Did they take it down?
We took too long. The National Center for Educational. Look at Brian. What are you sending me, man? Look. Okay, here we go. Which administers the National Assessment for Educational Progress every 2 years to fourth and eighth graders, just released the nation's report card, and the outlook is not good. It must prompt us to ask ourselves, why are we failing now? What has changed in the last 40 years that led us so far astray in the educational arena? I feel like it is part and parcel. I think it's by design, but I also believe that the extending of the government further and further away from the classroom I mean, the education further and further away from the classroom is the issue. The federal government has no business involved with Bumblebee Elementary School down here in Atlanta or in Phoenix or Maryland. It has no business at all. They need to be out of the business, and it needs to be the state at worst and the community, dare I say, the families at best. I mean, it needs to really be centralized down that low, sterilized down that low. That's my 2 cents. Following this, and I think this actually played a big role in it too. Following the C-19 pandemic, our children continue to slide in their reading skills, and there is barely percentable improvements in mathematics. He said percentable. Our schools were already in decline before our political and educational leaders forced school closures. But now our students are also failing to make up ground since the schools were reopened. And I think we all have seen that to some degree, shape, or form. And the problem. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
You see that part where it says the top 10% of students have increased their scores.
I ain't get there yet. Let me get there. Let me read it.
You get
Let me read it.
Okay.
I'm on my way there.
That part was interesting, but go ahead. Yeah, no,
I'm gonna get there, and I'm gonna let you jump in. I know you double dutching. Just warm up. Keep warming up. And the problems are worse. Exactly where you would expect them to be. The best performing students are returning to form, but those who lagged before are losing even more ground. Now, in math among 8th graders, you can see this disparity clearly. The top 10% of students have increased their scores by 3 points on average, whereas the bottom 10% dropped by twice as many, amount of 6 points. And 1/3 of American 8th graders are rated below basic in reading. All right, what you got?
No, I was just gonna say that 1 out of every 3 people are below basic in reading, man.
That's crazy.
1/3 of American 8th graders. So that means they're going into high school. 1/3 of 8th graders going into high school are below basic reading, right? And so
that's crazy.
The literature that they're going to be exposed to in high school reading, there's mandated reading, right? Literature. You got to read some Shakespeare. You got to, you got to read some government, economics. You got to read this. You got to read more complex texts, biology and things of that nature.
Can you go back?
They can't read it. They can't comprehend it.
Can you go back up in the article? Can you go back up, scroll back up just a little bit? Stop right there. The top 10% of students have increased their score by 3 points. Keep going, whereas 10% rated below basic reading. Now, if you go up in the article where it says the nation's report card
right here
is there, and you click on it, that unless I'm slow, because I got a public education. So if you click on that report card, it shows you the opposite of what you just said. It actually says that the top 10% went up. Go down a little bit in math. Everybody went up in math for grade 4, but if you look at the bottom half of the chart, everybody went down. All of those are decreases. So I'm trying to figure out what part of the top 10%.
Oh no, it's backwards.
Subject.
90th percentile is the top 10.
But I thought we were talking about reading. That's why.
Okay, reading.
I was looking at the
90 would be.
All the readings are down.
Yeah.
No significant difference. So that's why I was trying to figure out.
I don't know why they got that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was just looking at that chart. I mean, the all in blue down arrows don't look good at all. So
no.
It basically everybody can't read no more. So
you are wild. Let me see.
Yeah,
and that reading comprehension is like you said. You mentioned earlier, Terry. You mentioned earlier that you give students you give them some sort of information, right? Whether that be video, whether that be something reading, they can't summarize it for you. Their comprehension is not there for them to process what they've read or process even what they've heard, to process information. And that shows that they're not being led to think. They can't think and use and process complex information to synthesize it and then regurgitate it in a way that says, I understand what I just was exposed to, right? And that's a major issue, because that translates to a lot of things. Like, they can't think for themselves. So it's almost like a systematic dumbing down of people to not think for themselves.
Well, they're not doing book reports anymore. They're not doing book reports and book summaries like they're not reviewing regularly regular pieces of literature where they have to review it on a daily basis, at least from my experience.
Mine do, but let me help parents real quick. Parents in the chat, if you have a child that's under your tutelage in your home, I can tell you exactly how to fix this problem that Brian and Mike are referring to right now in real time. It's very, very simple. When you ask your child, usually when you pick your child up from the bus stop or they walk in from the house, you pick them up from daycare, you ask them the same question. Everybody asks them the same question. How was your day?
Mm-hmm.
And they usually give you a one-word answer.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them they cannot use that one word. And you know what the word is. It usually starts with G, ends with D, and rhymes with good, right? So you know what you say? Hey, little Brian, how was your day today? Matter of fact, let's role play. Mike or Brian, you're little Brian. Little Brian, you just came in from school, so look like you just walked in from school. You got to look like a teenager, all slumped over. Oh, okay. Hey, little Brian, how you doing, man? How was school today?
It was good.
Nope. I need no one-word answer, sir. I need a full-orbed, thoughtful answer. Tell me, start with the beginning of your day. How was the first class? Give me one sentence. Go ahead.
It was okay. The teacher made us do some writing.
Really? Okay. So the teacher made you do some writing. Now you use the word okay there. So you can no longer use the word okay or good. Now, what about your second class? What about your third class? And that's all we're going to do. And I'm going to do that every time I talk to you, because I believe that these three men on the screen and all the parents on the screen, you are the first teacher. If Miss Bumblebee, if Mr. Caterpillar are not doing their jobs in the classroom, that's secondary. I must, if I don't feel like my child is able to properly communicate with other humans in a meaningful way, that's not Miss Bumblebee's fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Mr. Caterpillar's fault.
Right.
That's my fault. I take full responsibility. My child is not able to communicate like a bona fide adult. No guttural speak here. We don't say good and huh. I've gotten a little bit slack with huh. I let my second born gets away with huh a little bit too much. But you got my point. They can have full conversations though. Nobody's ever questioned or doubted that. So if they get tired and they get a little bit slack, I can kind of let it slide because I know that they can. All I'm saying is, I think for all of us, to this point right here that Mike was bringing out, that they don't do book reports and they can't summarize, so forth, you make them summarize. What did they say? What did they teach in Bible study this weekend? What did they talk about in kids' church?
Right.
Give me some deep understanding. Let's go. What is that song about? What is that song? What does it mean? Tell me what you understand it to be.
Yeah.
They use a word here that I don't understand. Go pick up a dictionary. Notice what I said, pick up a dictionary. So you got to have a book in your house. Go pick up a dictionary and tell me what that word means.
Yeah. And my kids are, like my son will ask me, "Hey, Dad, why is this?" Or he asked me a question about something. I said, "Did you Google it? You got to Google it before you ask me."
Yeah.
You got Google at your fingertips. I'm like, okay, you don't have that encyclopedia that I once had to leaf through, but you can Google. And now I want you, after you Google it, I want you to come back and tell me what you found.
And even better than that, explain it to me give me what you found and give me an example of where you see it somewhere else in the world. That requires them to do this. This is we as first teachers, we cannot complain that the secondary teachers are not doing their job.
Right.
Because
right.
The argument can be flipped on its head, and the secondary teachers can argue that y'all ain't doing y'all job.
Right.
You ain't gonna say that about me.
Well, then if you do that, Jay, you're blaming the victim.
You know what I'm doing? I'm trying not to raise people that are useless. I'm trying to downsize my house in 5 years. I ain't got no time for you. No, you will not be here. You will not be here, ma'am. You've got to go. You must go. So therefore, I'm trying to raise people that will go and not come back until Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas. Come by for my birthday. That's cool. But yeah, you got to go. You got to go. Yeah. I like you, but you got to go.
And look how that parallels the church, Jay. When you send people to go, you got to equip them.
It's almost like God's plan for the family is a representation of the church. Oh. Goodness gracious. Look at that. Let's move. These test scores are not only tragic, but unacceptable. We must demand better. Really? We must demand better. That means that I must expect better from me. Because please understand, I'm giving you the product, but if I give you a bad product or bad material, please forgive me. If I give you bad material, I can't get a better product from you. If I give you stink wood or some rotten wood, I can't expect, some masterful work back. That's on me. And I think that the theme earlier was that we have to take responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
All right. Let me, Mike, did you have your hand raised, DEI Terry?
Yeah, I just want to report that Trump just announced that he's revoking Joe Biden's security clearance to the White House, and he won't be any more security briefings. And he put on Twitter, "You're fired." Okay, let's back to our regular scheduled program.
Y'all, let me just say this right now. Trump wants to have his first 100 days when they do the review, like his first 100 days of office. Trump wants them to be like exhausted when they get to 100 days. He's literally
they tired.
Like, look, like just stop. They really want him to just like, can you go play golf? Can you go on vacation? Don't you need to take a nap? He's wreaking havoc on them. That is hilarious, man. We must demand better. We simply cannot prepare our students to lead the most powerful nation on earth if they cannot read or do math. Then to me personally, I think this shutting down of the Department of Education is going to cause people to realize that their kids can't do this stuff. And they're going to hear all this foolishness. They're going to watch the mobs of Democrats that are raising Cain and such like that. And it's going to cause them to say, wait. You don't need all this stuff to teach reading and math. I mean, you can go old school, literally teach your child reading at your local library or community center with a stack of books. You can go raid the little free library and you'll be good to go. So I really think this is going to, this will change education, in my opinion. Wait. Okay, let me Brian, can you pick this up while I grab this?
Go ahead. So you left with we simply cannot prepare our students to lead the most powerful nation on earth if they cannot read or do math. It says, are these children somehow less capable of learning? It's a quick key question. Are they less capable of learning than previous generations? That's critical. That's a critical question, because that the answer to that is overwhelmingly no, they're not less capable. So that means that we are failing in our approach to educate.
Wait. Can I ask a question? I'm on the fence with that, because when it says, are these children somewhat less capable of learning, if they don't, I'm trying not to be, I don't want to make this generation sound like they're not capable of doing it, but if they don't have the same amount of tools and resources and the passionate teachers that we had coming up,
sure,
then is their ability to actually accomplish the things that we've accomplished the same? Only reason I'm asking is because they're like, our grading skills are different. Like, we had to get 90, 91 to get an A. They only got to get 81. Correct. So their ability to get an A is hampered by the system, and then two, the effort. And like the one lady said, she's 27 with a professional job and can't read.
Can't spell. Right.
She can't spell.
I don't know how you can spell without reading.
That's a great picture, man. That's so dope. Anyway,
shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Department of Education is in the chat. Shout out to them. And notice the Department of Education is a member of Dear Woke Christian. Right. You know what?
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Do I have 50 likes on this video? Almost got 50 likes. You know what? I'm gonna drop some memberships. Let's go. Let's do that. Go ahead, Mike. Don't let me disrupt you while I'm over causing chaos.
No, I was just from what was being said and reading the article. It's kind of, I'm a little bit on the fence with that question, only because a little bit of it does seem like the kids may not be as capable as we think they are, but not their fault, but because they're not being given the same opportunities, or at least the foundation that we had. And so to a certain degree,
so is there an opportunity gap or an ability gap?
There we go. Wait, I got one more gap. Sorry. Is it opportunity, ability, or expectation?
I think I would say it's more. I want to make the ability smaller, because I think if any child that's given the right tools can accomplish whatever they need to accomplish.
Correct.
So, but there's still there's a handicapping going on, and so like you said, if a child knows that I don't want to do homework, I can go to the psychologist and get out of class. That's psychologist wild. that psychologist does have responsibility to handle that child properly, but that child also should not revert to calling the psychologist. Like, we have kids that have breakdowns once a week. And so at some point, I'm like, is something really wrong with you, or you just didn't do your homework? Like, that's how I asked. Did you not finish your reading, or are you just trying to go home, or what is it? So, and sometimes they put them in a classroom where they don't do anything.
So they're being conditioned
to
respond to certain stimuli in their environment, because they know that, hey, if I don't do something, I'll be coddled by being able to get this, as opposed to being held accountable and trying to revert my behavior to accommodate what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm now being conditioned to be able to act out, right? So in the same way that I can adjust my behavior to act out, in the same way I can be conditioned to actually perform and do the work.
I'm here to be contrary. Who is most equipped to shape and mold the attitudes and behaviors of little DWC, little Brian, and little DEI Terry? Would it be one, Miss Bumblebee or Mr. Caterpillar at the elementary school? Two, the governor of the state that you're in? Three, the Department of Education? Or four, mama and daddy? Which one?
Bing, bing,
yes.
bing,
I'll take what is a whole family for 500, Alex.
There you go. And I think, to me, in my mind, I think I'm, and Mike, you've known me for a while. I'm a super simple guy. I'm a minimalist. Stick with the people, stick with the thing that works. Mom and dad are more equipped to do this. Mom and dad need to feel the pressure. And matter of fact, we saw this during C-19, during the shutdowns. Those parents saw the pressure. They felt the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, wait, hold on, wait, what? What? They saw that in 4K. Now, sadly, once schools opened back up and life returned to normal, the semblance of normal, everybody just kind of like forgot it. But they felt that little bit of pressure. And I think by shutting down the Department of Education, money's being, now granted, I want that money that's going up to DC to remain in my pocket. So if that works out like that, that's going to be great, because then people are like, wait, I got more bread. I can do more things with little Johnny, little Sally, and help them out.
I asked AI just to see, and ask Brave, Google, Gemini, DeepSeek. I asked all of them what would be the financial ramifications if the Department of Education was abolished. All of them had pretty much the same answer, except one AI said, well, if they go by the sizes of the states, then the average state could get anywhere from $2 to $4 billion for education a year. Your bigger states like New York, California, Texas would get the lion's share, something like $10 billion. So they guesstimated with that and block grants that the states would get far more funding. And obviously this is just AI, so it could be wrong, but they would get far more funding if that 200 to 200 and just say 300 billion were divided up between the 50 states. Then that would be more beneficial to hand Arizona $4 billion for education. Because they said something like on Google, when I looked it up, the average cost per child is like $18,000 to take care of them annually. So if you're putting $1 billion out there, cost per pupil. Mm-hmm. So if they're putting that out there in the sense where every state could benefit from that, I mean, I don't know why you would just say, oh no, that's not good. I can't figure out why I'm handing Atlanta $10 billion for education. You mean y'all can't?
Georgia. Hopefully you're saying it to Georgia. Don't send it to Atlanta, because everybody have a Hellcat by the end of the night. Everybody riding the Hellcat tonight, baby. No, you're 100% correct. So watch this, Mike. With that same wonder and inquiry, ask yourself, who is it that's complaining about giving the states back their rights? And therein is the rub. I don't see anybody who voted for Trump, anybody that's right leaning, anybody that's moderate, saying, "Oh no, this is a horrible idea." I only hear people.
Dare I say it's because we all have educations?
I'm just saying, like, this is
not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to say Democrats don't have it, because they're very educated.
Oh yeah,
but we have educations, and we've done our research.
I'm
sorry, I don't mean if you're a Democrat in the chat, I didn't mean to offend you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna offend them Democrats because see, listen, the common trope coming out of their camp is this. That's an offense. That what Trump is doing is an offense to democracy. Now, listen, there's a guy that was I don't know, he was on TikTok or whatever. He did a little video and he said, you know what? Trump is governing right now like a daddy that has come home.
I know exactly. I saw that one. Yep. I know exactly.
And people don't like it because people don't like male leadership. They don't like men who don't care about your feelings, but they're simply gonna rule the house and do what's necessary to make the hard decisions, to do what people don't like. And it ain't about emotions. He don't give a crap what you feel. He's just gonna say it and he's gonna do it. Right. And that's what men do. Real men.
And I think sadly, a lot of people are not familiar with that. They're not familiar with somebody that says, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to move. And you come home and he's done it and is moving in that direction.
Right. And people speaking and screaming. And
right.
Talking about how it's a threat to democracy. He is overruling the people's democratic rights, and the democratic, process, by just making decisions. He's acting like a king. No, he's acting like a man who's decisive, because we had 4 years of a dude who's indecisive.
And he's had 4 years to strategize and look at, some of the losses in our lives are better only because you can look at the things that you lose and make adjustments for how to get past or through that scenario again. Him losing in 2020 was actually a little bit, to me, better now. Because now when he came back to office, look at it. He's gotten more done in 19 days than the last 40 years of government. And a lot of the stuff that's being done are stuff that other presidents could have done.
Let me also add, he's gotten more done in the first 19 days than he did in his first 19 days. So CNN
admitted he is more popular in the first month of his presidency now than he was in any point of his presidency the first term. And the guy from CNN said this has never happened with any president before. No president has been more popular their first 3 weeks than their entire first term. And it's even, because I think for most Americans that picked this route, they're getting the results that he campaigned on. And he's doing some stuff that's a little bit surprising. I ain't picking Paula White and all that kind of stuff. Hey, I'm not electing a pastor, whatever. He might not come to my wedding, whatever. But the idea is that the things he said, I'm going to do this, and he did them. And I'm going to do this, and he did them. And you can tell what's really what I always tell somebody, if you're looking at these different things that we've never talked about before, a regular politician wouldn't have been able to do this. He knows too much. But somebody that had to disrupt the system, in my opinion, had to be somebody from the outside looking in. And so from the outside coming in, this guy who used to be the casino guy in the back already knows how the money rolls and knows when the mobsters was rolling with him and doing different things back in Jersey when he was running casinos. So he already knows how the hustle goes. So in order for me to break the hustle up, let me go in and disrupt what I have to disrupt and let them fight amongst themselves. Democrats ain't never wanted to go to the Department of Education building. They do. All of a sudden, y'all want to take a field trip?
Absolutely.
Right.
We need a field trip today?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
So he's accomplishing stuff. I think the men, whether I'm not saying lefties don't, but men feel more secure watching this man work. Like, okay, he moving.
Yeah.
He's moving.
Yeah.
He's moving.
People don't tell you this. Even children won't tell you that they feel safe when you're decisive and you give them boundaries and you make decisions. They won't tell you that they like that, but low key, they feel safe in that environment. But if you willy-nilly and you indecisive and there's no structure and boundaries, kids hate that and they act like they enjoy it, but deep down inside they grow up to resent it.
Let me give you an example, because I told the audience this. I used to negotiate with my kids a lot. When they were little, we used to do a lot of things to like egg them on to get activities done. So they would wake up on summer break and they'd have like a treasure map in their room, and they would have to do all these chores to solve the treasure map, or a bingo board and all this kind of crazy stuff like that. And I don't know where I picked that up. It was more like because I was a classroom teacher. And, trying to find creative ways to keep them engaged in doing stuff. But later on, they actually started resenting. They really wanted me to just say, do this, instead of me negotiating with them. So like they'll make fun of me and say, Dad only texts the word clothes. And I know that I need to go over there and get my laundry and do this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. I said, you got the stuff done. Or I'll say dishes, garbage. There's no sentences. It's guttural. It's one word, garbage. And they know, like, all that. But guess what? They get it done, and there's no negotiating. Nobody has to fight or argue and spit or throw children. Just when you get that text message that says garbage, you know what you're supposed to be doing. Matter of fact, I text Chief Executive Second Born because I don't hear the dryer going. So I told her, I said, you can be in your room. As long as I hear that washer and dryer going tonight, I don't care. As long as something's washing, something's drying, something's folding. If you can do that, then I ain't bothering you. But I don't hear it, so I got to text her.
You can get so much more accomplishing done when you're doing the basic things that you need to get done. Like you told your daughter, the dryer and washer's going. You can watch TV. You can do whatever you want. As long as I hear this is getting done over here, I'm not saying nothing. I feel like that's what's going on with the country. There are basic things that need to get done. And most of us are not, I'm not worried about nothing right now. Like, people are like, well, gas prices haven't came down, or grocery haven't came down. I'm not even worried about them. You're taking care of the bigger stuff that will at some point, like the tax cuts came out yesterday. Well, those are huge tax cuts. So when it's time to get to those tax cuts and get to those things, then we'll get to them. But right now, it's getting to those things that we really didn't talk about. We knew something was off, but we really didn't talk about it. And now that we're talking about it and digging into it, we're seeing, whoa, wait a minute. This has been a longer problem, and every president probably knew it was a problem, but because they were getting money like the Clintons out of it, or because they were getting different benefits and stuff from it. No, we don't want to stop our gravy train because we're getting money from it. So and it's not conspiracy theory anymore. That's the crazy thing about it. It's a conspiracy theory till it comes true, right? Until we validate.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's no longer a conspiracy.
It's no longer a conspiracy theory. The things that we were told. And my hat is no longer a foil hat. I got a cap on. I got a fit. You know what I mean?
I keep it. Mine are lined. Mine are lined.
Yeah.
With tinfoil.
Mine is finished. And it says 47 on it. You know what I mean? Because the stuff that we thought was conspiracy theories and money was being wasted and all this stuff. And like the article was pointing out, Department of Education was not working. Stuff was getting worse. Your kids couldn't develop and read. The programs weren't, they weren't coming home with homework. They weren't even carrying home backpacks. All this other stuff that they tried to do. All kids got to wear the same uniform. They all got to wear clear backpacks. They all got to look the same, dress the same, do all this stuff the same. All of a sudden, now your kid is 15 years old and can't spell it. Then you were like, well, I don't know what's wrong. I can't figure out what's wrong. Because you're letting the school system try to raise your kids, and that's not good.
Right.
Absolutely.
Hey,
or
brethren, I'm gonna have to run. I'm gonna have to roll out.
Get out of here, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Man, hey, look, it's been such a blessing. Hey, what do they call you, Mike or Terry?
My name is Mike. I just put that up. He didn't tell me I had to use my real name today. So
well, Jason ain't tell me that, man. But Mike, hey, brother, it was a pleasure.
Good to meet you, man. I'll get your contact information,
yes,
man.
Sir. Yes, sir. Dear Woksy, it's always a pleasure, my brother.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate you, brother. Grace and peace. All right, that was Brian Shannon, the author par excellence, and I'll kick him out of here. That's Brian Shannon, the author par excellence, stopping through. Thank you so much for Mike. We're going to finish up this article, man. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's get at it. Let's get active. All right. Are these children somehow less capable of learning than previous generations? I reject that notion, and so should you. It is the adults who have failed them, our educational elite, and they have been doing so for a long time. I personally believe, I'm going to push back on the sentence. If you put your weight on a bad leg, that's your fault. You realize that the leg is bad. The leg is broken and you put your weight on the bad leg, but you have so in my opinion, you shouldn't put your weight on the educational elite. The first teachers are the parents, period, end of day. And so the teacher at best is a second teacher. I mean, second teacher, but you as a parent are the first teacher. So you should be expecting from the second teacher what supports and augments what you're doing. That's just me. As a product of an excellent education received at a rural school in middle America, I am a testament to the fact that we know how to teach our children, and our children are capable of learning, but only if we return to the classic education model and get the bureaucrats out of the way. That sort of sounds like you need it in the local community. Get rid of the Department of Education. I have highlighted my mother's role as a teacher to illustrate and underscore her ability to educate the children in her charge. Educate, mind you, not indoctrinate. Without the benefit of a federal Department of Education, some may find it quaint that those of us who grew up far from Washington could properly function without the guidance of a federal bureaucracy. But we did, and we thrived. We have been thriving for generations, largely because of the education that we received, reading of the classics, mastering of the calculus and trigonometry in high school, using our hands to build and weld what we needed to succeed in agriculture and construction, designing dams and irrigation systems to water the West. Where is he from, I wonder? I'll have to find out in a second.
Wyoming.
You're right. Yep. He says Wyoming. Okay, keep dancing. Our education system was developed to make us productive and successful members of our communities and our country. I want to stop right there because you hear so many people saying that education is only meant to make you another cog in a machine. But please understand, if you're not able, if you don't educate your child, what do they have to be proud of? What do they have to feel good about themselves? They're not able to function in society. They can't add, read, or do anything else. They can't write. Well, what do they have? What do they have that you can give them that's transferable and say, oh, this is something that I can be excited about. I can read this whole shelf of books, or I can write a book, or I can do it. What do they have to be proud of?
Well, I mean, to the point, let's just say let's just say the adage or the saying that you're just another cog in the machine is true. If this whole nation of people in our diverse backgrounds is supposed to operate as one machine, wouldn't you want the best possible part on the machine? Like, you got a car, you don't want the tire not working right, and you don't want the engine part not working right. So let's assume that is what it is. You're just a part of a machine. Fine. Don't you want the best part of the machine working? Because I know we don't settle for the worst part of anything else. And even down there, if we go to get something to eat, get a value meal, we don't want a great burger and good fries and a moldy bun. We want the whole thing to come together. So even if you thought that was the case and you felt a little bit degraded or felt like you were being diminished in your capacity or whatever it is, you want to be the best cog, your best part you can be. And I think that some form of education gives that to you. Maybe everybody may not be meant to go to a 4-year university, 8-year university, get a degree. Maybe that's not it. But some form of basic understanding of reading, writing, and arithmetic does help. Understanding, logic, reasoning, those things will help you get basic things accomplished. And it's not to disparage anybody or discourage anybody from going to do higher education. It's just saying, if that were the case, you still want people to have the best opportunity to operate in whatever they're going to operate on. If you're going to be a fry flipper your entire life, it doesn't matter. Be the best fry flipper you can be. Don't just be mediocre because somebody feels like, well, you're not important, so you don't need to learn how to read. You don't need to know how to write. You don't need to know how to count. No, don't worry about. Don't know how to fill out a check. Don't worry about having a bank account, basic things like that. Don't worry about it. Just know that you're going to be excellent because we like the color of your skin, or because you wear pink hair or got a nose piercing or something weird like that. Something that has nothing to do with the content of your character.
Leave my nose piercing alone, man.
My bad.
Let's keep this dance. Let's keep it going. Let's go. It is not It was not created to push social justice nonsense or to focus on things that only matter to a faculty lounge at a liberal arts school in Vermont. Shots fired.
Liberal
All
arts,
right.
huh?
No, that only matters in the faculty lounge.
Right.
If you've ever been to a faculty lounge, you know that's a very
Yes.
interesting place. Let's keep this going. I often encounter people who are shocked to learn that the Department of Education is relatively young, created by President Jimmy Carter with a stroke of a pen in 1979. So it's not even 50 years old yet.
Yeah, it didn't have time to get bad when I was in school. You know,
No. Yeah. So yeah, most of us probably, if you were born in the 70s, dare I say, if you were born in the 80s, it probably it didn't even have an effect on you.
No, we still had to learn how to read, write, and all that kind of stuff.
We were doing cursive still. Yeah.
Yeah, cursive.
That's-
I mean,
yeah,
the
that's
only
very
thing I can write
interesting.
is my name, but I still know how to write cursive.
I think cursive is important because you can read ancient documents, and that's important.
I think it's a good skill set to have. Just period. Just I think having a few extra skills, nothing wrong with that. That's my opinion, but whatever.
No, I got you totally. The department has since become an out of control behemoth staffed by individuals who pushing an educational philosophy directly at war with the foundations of our country and our Constitution. It is thus legitimate to question whether it should exist at all. I think that's a fantastic question. And I think his point right here, I would only say that the department has since become an out of control behemoth staffed by individuals who are pushing educational philosophy directly at war with traditional values.
True.
But there's some very traditional, not just foundations of our country, but very traditional norms. That there are men and there are women. Those are norms that you're pushing against those and you're fighting against those and creating all of this chaos. But let's keep it going. In 2024, the department boasted 4,400 employees and a budget of $238 billion. In the post-pandemic world, Congress allotted an additional $190 billion to elementary and secondary schools to help them recover any learning losses. Those funds have obviously been wasted, as proven by the disastrous NAEP test scores just released. That money, in other words, hasn't been effectively used to educate our young. It has disappeared into a maw of the Department of Education with no accountability for failure. I'm loving it. The department's not related to education activities are also well known. The federal bureaucrats, for example, spent 3 years seeking to replace SEX in federal education amendments to Civil Rights Act with sexual orientation and gender identity. I don't even know what they were doing, but how much money did they spend doing that? My goodness, in the morning.
You can click on the link and see.
I'm afraid to look, but let's go. Let's check real quick. Share this again.
It's probably just a list of the programs.
The Department of Education is making a great case for its own abolition. Wow. Whoever's writing these is pretty harsh, man. The Heritage Foundation.
Yeah, you gotta watch them. Yeah.
He is like, he said, man, look, I'm about to hurt your feelings. All right, I'm gonna drop this link. It's in the article. I'm gonna drop this link so y'all can check it out. I do want to get done with where we are. So let's jump back. If I can find it. There we go. We're back. We're golden. They have interfered with teachers' ability to remove disruptive and dangerous students from their classrooms, and they have promoted a seemingly endless stream of woke politics at the expense of our cohesiveness and to undermine pride in being American. The result, they are turning out generations of children who can't read or do math and believe that America is evil. Just as frightening, there is a section on the department's website titled Birth to Grade 12 Education, exposing their intent to the intent for the government to parent our children. God save us all. So I can only imagine what they want to do. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it going. Common sense and practicality seem to be making a comeback, perhaps in a response to the panic exposing to the failures of the Department of Education. So this is the time to act. we must abolish the U.S. Department of Education and work directly with the states to develop and implement a world-class education system that serves all students and our families while disempowering the teachers, unions, and parasites that have engorged themselves for far too long on the broken education system. That's pretty serious. This is the only viable long-term solution to save and revitalize the education in America. And this is Harriet Hageman, represents Wyoming in at large in the U.S. House of Representatives. So that's her. Shout out. That is serious, man. What you think about that, Mike? What you got? 2 cents?
I think it was a very, very insightful article. I'm sure that if you're on the other side of the aisle in the discussion, you will try to tear it apart and say that you don't agree with some of the points and maybe they're being overstated and maybe even exaggerated. But from our experience of having an author and an educator on, and you're very, you were in the academia world with where you went, attending HBCU and seeing these different things. I think that the viewpoint that we've seen from the article can actually be validated in 3 different areas. And I think that anybody who is on the right sees this as a pretty good article. Anybody on the left is going to say, hey, these things are misrepresented. Look at all the good that they're doing. But I think that the article did present some very real alarming statistics about the inabilities for 4th graders and 8th graders who are not able to read at grade level.
Right. Which is
spending
crazy.
$240 billion in education, 4,400 employees. I think that having limited government, which is, I think, a conservative point, not a Republican one, but a conservative point, can be addressed in the article. There's a whole lot of things that needs to be changed. And just having these not even knowing that it's, less than 40, 50 years old, 1979, somebody just wrote a pen and said, we're going to have a brand new club over here called Department of Education. And what are they doing? What have they done? They've done nothing but make education worse.
Right.
So why would you want to keep it? That's just something I'm seeing.
No, I think you're right on the money, man. I think you're right on the money. And it bears witness. And I think people should take the time. This hopefully will be a time of pausing. Let's stop and think about how we're using this and how this is affecting us long term. And can we do better? Can we do better than what we're doing currently? So,
to go back to your point that you made, are the parents ready to step up and do better? That's really the question, because they've been conditioned not to have to do better. And it's no knock on parents. It's just that when your kids are gone 10 hours a day and they're not getting the same education or same care that you would give them, now it's going to make everybody accountable to say, hey, you need to sit down and read with your kid, or you need to sit down and examine some of the things that they're doing and what they're saying, or you need to sit down and talk and find out why your kid keeps going to maybe the school clinician or the psychologist every day, or why you keep getting these timeouts. And that's really what it comes down to. Are the parents ready for that? That's my concern.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money, man. I appreciate it. What y'all think in the chat? Looking at accountability. That's what we need. That's it. Let's see. Clean it up, Trump. They are scared of Elon because they are liars and thieves. They're thieves in the classroom tonight. Absolutely.
They say we're not thieves or robbers. We're education. We're educators.
No,
We're
this is a
parents.
politician. That's a thief and a robber.
No. One lady said they're teachers and educators. I'm like, you just said
you're right. People. She did say that.
All right, so you got a day job? What are you doing?
Yeah, that was wild.
It's horrible if you can't even keep your day job. Shouldn't you be teaching somewhere? You gotta.
Why are you out here in these streets?
Are you out here in these streets?
Why are you out here? No, I agree 100%. And
Mother Maxine was out there. Move out the way. You get out of my way. All right, Maxine. If we push down, then what you gonna say? Huh?
Right.
Hawaii 5-0 and Michael from Good Times ain't gonna protect you,
Let's see what we got. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you. Always. Thank you. All right. Hey there, Marlene. Dear Lord, I hope the parents are ready to do better or at least willing to do better. That's it. Just be willing. That's it. And I think if we give them the tools to do better, I think we'll see it. But not giving them the tools and not giving them the opportunities, I think is bad. My little 2 cents.
I don't think they want them. I heard somebody say today they were talking about on a podcast. They were talking about the idea that racism has to exist for all the grifters. So the people who want to be anti-racist, you need grifters. I think the same thing for some of this stuff with the Department of Education is that some of these things have to be if your goal is to kind of be an educational reformer in your affirmation to say, well, I'm for the kids. Well, then you need something like the Department of Education there screwing everything up so you can keep your job. Because the Department of Education is not going to just close out the people that are working there, but the people who call themselves for the kids, that ain't got nothing to do. Now you got to go get another job.
No, I agree 100%.
I'm sure Pizza Hut or something is hiring. You can go be congressman over the pepperoni department.
Not congressman of the pepperoni department.
Yeah.
Why are you like this, man? Why are you like this?
A lot of athletes are getting college degrees just because their performance they can't read or write. That's true. Absolutely. They're getting passed on. Rumor is they're having people do their homework. It's rumor, allegedly. I didn't say I know anybody specifically, but if I did, I would snitch on you right now. But I might not snitch on you.
For sure.
But
all right.
Most of them don't even if you make it, you don't even have to get a degree now. You can get to a league or a professional league. And because there's so many different ways to start a business, so most of these guys are not going to have to go back and get their degree because they've already made it. But, a lot of the older NBA players, some of the NFL players, some of them, when stuff was over, they did go back and get their degrees later on in life. I don't know if these guys are not, no shade, they're not being held accountable where it's saying they even need a degree. They don't need to read. They just hire somebody who can read. Let me just pay him.
Yeah, that seems to be the motive. Like, hey, the motif rather. That's what I'm trying to say. But no, I agree with you 100%. What we got here? Oh, if I could do it again, I would have homeschooled. I mean, there's room for it. I would definitely reconsider it, but that's just the way we chose not to. But I can feel you on that for sure. All right, it's probably just a rumor that your students are doing. Wait. It might be. My kids don't have a lot of homework. I will say that. My children do not have a lot of homework. They might get done with it because they have a study hall. Both of them have a study hall at the end of the day, and they're usually done by the time they get home. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be dial. It could not be.
They don't have the 2-3 hours of homework we had.
Oh no, there's nothing like that.
We have hours of homework.
Yeah.
All right. Minister Misty got a comment.
Okay, what do we got? Sorry about that. My cousin ex-fiance was an athlete and his homework was done by his tutors and he could barely read or write. He was doing this work at one point. She was doing his work at one point. Please forgive me. Yeah.
I guess we gotta look our cousin up to find out
we
who
do.
her ex was. Maybe that's why his ex-fiance, because he couldn't write on a marriage license or something. I don't know.
You are wild. Bro, these protests are out of pocket, man. I am not messing with these protests.
Well, which one are you looking at now?
Bro, somebody sent me a Twitter and then I went down the Twitter rabbit hole. I'm not pulling them up because we had entirely too much profanity the other day when we was looking at something, but it looks like there's probably going to be profanity in these.
I mean, if you got time to protest, you got time to go to work. I'm just saying.
Like, it's just too much. And my argument is, y'all go ahead and protest. Y'all go ahead and do that. The people that want to take advantage of this, what I believe is a bull market for job creation, a bull market for content creation, and bull market for getting your hustle on, they're going to take advantage of it. while y'all out here protesting whatever you protesting for a country that you don't want to go to, because they ain't stopping you from flying there. But you waving the flag for that country while you standing there on the square. Because I think they're going to be at the square tomorrow near my studio. So I will be. If I stop, I might go live tomorrow and ask some people some questions. So don't be surprised tomorrow. You get an early morning live stream. But back to my point, there are so many good opportunities available to us right now, and all I'm saying is take advantage of the opportunities that are available to you right now. Because again, once Jamal Bryant got telling people to sell their Target stock, then you need to go buy Target stock. I mean, those kind of things like that. Take advantage of these opportunities, because once they move on and we go back into a bear market, you're going to be sitting there saying, "Dog, I wish I had did that back in February. I should have did that back in the beginning of the year." Do it now. Save some money now. Go work hard and save as much money as you can.
I mean, I've told a few people that it's probably a good year to start a business or a side hustle, because I think you're gonna have a lot of things that you may not have thought were resources on your side now, and with all this extra money that's gonna be available next year. I think it'd be good.
I'm gonna start a fight. You ready?
Yeah.
Go to your local pawn shop. There are a whole bunch of lawn care equipment there now. Especially, there's a bunch of lawn care equipment at your local pawn shop because of whatever reason. Start a lawn care service. And
a lot of these jobs you think so and this and that don't want to do is available.
Right.
And you probably have plenty of business right now. And it's not even, we're not trying to be controversial, but it's true. If you say you want to work and you say you are convinced that this is the time to start a business, it's gonna be easier. You're gonna have clientele. You just don't want to do it. That's what it comes down to.
Just look at your neighborhood. Like once you see that if for example, if the lawn care person that was doing your community, like the guy that does my grass, he does about 4 of the houses on my street. And that's just that I know of on the street. I know their houses. If my lawn care guy was not available anymore, you know what I mean by that. Ryan with Newport. And if he was removed from the United States, I'm going down to Pawn USA and pick me up a lawnmower. And I'm literally just walking down the street, cutting my neighbor's yard. Because I know how much what he was charging. That's a good Saturday. That'd be a good Saturday. I can do that on Friday and Saturday, and I'll be fine.
And not only that, the need to want to be able to actually put yourself in a position to succeed during this time. It has to come down to that you actually see where stuff is happening and where these doors are opening up, and you actually have to really want to do that stuff and really want to be an entrepreneur and not just sit on the sideline and complain about something, because I think that's where we're at. Everybody's complaining about this, complaining about that. Who gonna cut my lawn? You're gonna cut your own lawn.
Yeah,
you're gonna save the $75 you was paying Alejandro, and you're gonna cut it yourself. Well, I just can't do that. Yeah, the lady on CNN said, "Well, I just can't wait until American women are going to have to go pick their own blueberries for their smoothies." Well, man, if a white person said that about a black person, it would be considerably racist.
Facts.
So
you froze up.
I don't
you got that
these
D.
people understand what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and even more than that.
Do I got? Yeah.
But you don't even have to come up with a side hustle, Deborah. Mike knows this about me. I'm an idea guy. I can sit down and come up with 45 ideas. How about we just sit down and teach your children, explain to your children how they can start a side hustle, and that will be a blessing to your household. Because guess what? They're gonna stop texting you, "Mom, can you Zelle me some money so I can go to Chick-fil-A? Dad, can you Zelle me some money so I can go get some boba?" Y'all know what my kids hit me up. Yes, sir.
Dear Wolf, we got 20 seconds now. Deborah, what do you like to do? We can give you 30 ideas on this broadcast for free of jobs that you can start that you would like. Tell you how to do it. I've got a course that teaches people how to start businesses that I haven't even sold yet. I'm gonna give it away, but yeah, Deborah, if you tell us what you like to do, myself and Jason could definitely give you some ideas that are affordable. Starting jobs are a lot easier now. There's things you can do at home. There's things you can do on the phone. There's things that you can do there's a ton of jobs you can do from the computer. There's all different things. There's all different kind of writing jobs you can use. There's all kind of AI tools you can get. So Deborah, if you let us know before we get off the broadcast, myself and Jason are going to give you a free 17-second consultation today. Just for if anybody wants to hire us he's the idea man and I'm the implementation guy.
There we go.
So
we make a mean team.
Let us know, I have 4 blueberry bushes and a farm orchid. I already picked my own, but now would be a good time to buy a plant one, and be a great time.
And
bam.
Or again, like just hire out to say, hey, we'll come and pick the blueberries and bag them up or was it basket them up and whatever for the farm. Hey, look, no problem, a reasonable rate. You ain't gonna pay me what you was gonna pay, what you was paying, last week, but I ain't gonna Shanghai you, and just teach your kids how to hustle. And then you go home and let the kids just do it.
I got a business idea right now. I'm gonna give y'all gold, right? If you got kids, we give you gold. If you got kids, I'm gonna give you a whole steez, right? I've been thinking about this for years. The business is called Another Man's Treasure, right? That's what it's called. It's called Another Man's Treasure.
Okay, I got you.
Okay,
go ahead.
So what you do is you get your kid to go around the apartment complex and take everybody's trash to the trash can for $1. That's it, $1, right? Let's say you live in an apartment complex, got 50 units, right? Chances are, if you do a good job, they're going to give you more than $1, right? But if you do this once a week, that's $50 a week. Now, what happens is, this whole plan in my head, if you do it right to where you put the trash away, there's a possibility that the apartment complex could hire you, because now, if you've ever lived in an apartment complex, the trash is always all over the place. Now, if you're stacking it and keeping it put together, then what you now have is opportunity to get hired by the complex to go around and collect the trash. Not even that hard. Get you a cart from Home Depot. You go around twice a week, get the trash, put the trash away for them, and then that way you can collect $50 to $100 a week. Now, if you're a kid, that's an easy job. The thing is that if you get good at it, you can go to other apartment complexes, and I call it Another Man's Treasure. Why? Because it's your trash, it's going to be my treasure. Chances are people would pay you, because this generation is different. They would pay you $15 to $20 a month for you to just come pick their trash up. Why? Because we'll pay $15 from DoorDash or Instacart to bring us 1 jar of M&Ms. Why? Because we don't want to go to the store and do it. So anybody who got a kid out there, I just gave you a simple labor job you can do. I think you can turn it into something. That's me.
Watch this. Here I go. Okay, I like this. We're gonna do a handoff. All right. So watch this.
Okay.
I got one for you.
Tag.
All right. Here it comes. She says she has administrative. Here you go. Oh, come on. She has administrative background and computer skills. Not a problem.
Oh yeah, she's
Watch
getting
it. Here it comes. Here it comes. This. I'm gonna stick with the theme of Another Man's Treasure. What I want you to do is I want you to go ask your friends and neighbors, people at your church and your community, what do they need to get rid of? What do they need to get rid of? Old bike, tons of clothes, furniture, whatever like that. And you will be the person to take the pictures, write the copy, and put it on Facebook Marketplace. You can use your administrative skills, you can use your computer skills, and you just take a cut when the item sells.
That's a great idea right there.
You're welcome.
Bam.
Let's go. This is what I'm saying. And I'm getting a little bit hyped up about it, because instead of sitting here with your thumb in your mouth, and I'm not saying you, Deborah, by the way,
Deborah,
but instead of sitting here with your thumb in your mouth, sitting there saying, oh, the sky is falling. Oh, Mr. Cletus, the sky is falling. Eggs, $6 a dozen. You do realize that you can buy chickens. You do realize that you can buy chickens, and chickens will do so much good stuff for your yard, for your garbage and all that kind of stuff, and they will give you eggs. You do realize that, right? Okay, just want to make sure you're aware of this
Sorry,
fact.
sorry.
What's going on, Mandy? What's
I
happening?
wanted to jump in for a minute and talk to Deborah. Is that okay?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah,
She has administrative skills. She's really good on a computer. Deborah, are you interested in letting me teach you how to produce?
There you go.
If you're interested, email me and I can teach you how to produce for a YouTube channel.
There you go.
It is fun. And if you're good on a computer, that's what you gotta be, is good on a computer. And it may be something that you're really into, and it may not be, but I can teach you a lot. So just if that's something you're into, or you might be into, email me. I'll put my email in the chat.
I love it. There we go.
All
Thank
right.
you. We helping them out here today. We taking care of business here, Mike. This is the most productive live stream. This is probably our best live stream in a while. By the way, Mike and I used to do this on a regular basis, helping people with their streams, helping make sure your camera's right. We used to do it all. So shout out to them early videos of Mike and Dear Woke Christian. But again, I want to encourage you, if you're looking at the landscape of the world and you're like, Trump is going to burn the world down. I know you've heard this old adage, when there's blood in the streets, you buy real estate. You have to move past the sensationalism of what you see and do what needs to be done. Because like I keep telling people, we are in a content creator bull market. That's why I'm trying to keep creating as much content as I can make, because this is a great season. For the last year, it has been straight to the walls since last February. It has been right to the walls with content creation. Ain't been time to do much anything else. So, but back to my point, go do something. Go start an eBay joint, and you just sell people stuff on eBay. Clean people's basements out. Help people go around and help people consult to minimize their houses because they plan to downsize when their kids graduate from high school, go on to college, or move out. So you go around and you just help them, and you connect with realtors and you help them plan that out.
I am going to do something here today. Hold on, let me see something. I'm going to, because I'm so moved by this post, I'm gonna go in and make the how to start a business class free today.
Okay, do it.
I'm gonna drop you the link. I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to turn off the pricing. So anybody who wants to learn how to start a business, a legit business, it's very easy. I'm gonna go in here right now and I'm gonna put the link in there, and you won't have to pay anything. And I'm gonna leave it off for 1 week.
Oh,
you don't got to put a code in there or nothing.
Just
You
go
can go
grab
in there.
it.
It's a 45-minute class. You can go in there and take the class absolutely free of charge, because I want people to make it this year. I want people to not be doom and gloom. I want people to actually have a real sense of that they can make it. And it I was talking to a pastor and I was like, hey, I don't think you should be selling doom and gloom. Even if you don't like the administration, you're supposed to be selling hope. And right now you're selling nothing but fear. And so I don't think that's good.
Okay, I'm here to pick fights. Okay, I told you, I just come up with ideas, right? Okay, here it comes. Everybody has a garbage can. So go back to Mike's idea about the garbage can, right? And most of you all, especially if you got those big 95 gallon garbage cans, those wheeled ones, whatnot like that, they stink.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what is a natural odor eliminator?
No.
Coffee grounds.
Oh, yeah.
So what you do is you go, you raid all of your local Starbucks for their coffee grounds, and you get the coffee grounds and you bag them up in quart-sized bags, and you sell them to your neighbors as garbage can odor eliminators. No, but I mean, you could definitely do that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with coffee grounds, but you just go get the bag of coffee grounds from your local Starbucks. If you ask your baristas, they'll make it available for you on a regular basis, and you'll just have a big old bag and you just bag it up. You can dry it out, bag it up, sell it as at the local farmer's market as garbage can odor eliminators, because everybody's garage smells like West Hades in the summertime when you got that garbage can in your garage. Just put it right there.
Right.
And it also runs away creatures. So it keeps the raccoons and stuff away if you got your garbage can outside. Let me go back to my other thing about chickens. Most of y'all know that I'm a borderline tree hugger, right? I want to be an urban farmer. So you can get chickens, and you can use chickens to compost a lot of your scraps and stuff like that you have in your kitchen, all your kitchen scraps. Well, the great thing is the chicken, the kitchen scraps, after they've milled through it and tore through it, is compost. You can actually dry that compost out, bag it, and once again, your local farmers market, you can sell fresh, local, fertilized compost that people can use in their gardens, all that kind of good jazz like that. You're welcome. And you use those coffee grounds in there too.
I am, let me see, disabling the option will uninstall the following marches. Oh no.
Yep, there we go.
Okay, so let me go to courses. I'm trying to figure out how to turn the price off on this course.
Oh no. So at any pace, I just think, again, as we're looking at the Department of Education getting Shanghai, getting USAID getting shellacked, and all these other things, I'm sure next week is going to be it's going to be more business as usual. We might be looking at you, IRS. You better watch out, right?
He already talked about getting rid of the IRS.
Hey.
He already talked about getting rid of the IRS. He talked about getting rid of that about a week ago, and he was saying that that he wanted to get rid of taxes and propose a
flat tax, a fair tax.
Well, he wanted to apply. Well, we wanted to do flat tax, fair tax, but he also wanted to block billionaires from getting tax cuts if you own a sports team. So if you own a sports team, there was some taxes that as a sports team owner that you could escape. So he wanted to get rid of those tax breaks. If you're a billionaire and you own a sports team, there was a way that you can get out of paying a lot of taxes. Because basically you're writing everything off as a billionaire. So you're writing off all of your thing. But he already talked about that.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's dope.
Yeah, he talked about they're using that to scapegoat paying taxes. So he was like, yeah, we're gonna propose that. But he had already talked about getting rid of the income
tax.
Yeah, he had already talked about getting rid of the IRS altogether.
Let's go.
Because they were making a case. They were making a case that that according to the quote unquote Constitution, there is a loophole to where we're not supposed to be paying taxes at all.
I don't know about that, but I got you. I know what he's talking about. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that was IRS is trash.
Yeah, well,
I am team fair tax for sure. Let me also add, if you have girls and they're of age that they can babysit for other people, here's a great way. Go get your daughters. Boys are not babysitters, so I'm not going to assume that. But if you have boys that are babysitters, then so be it. But get your girls CPR trained and certified, so that they're able, an infant CPR specifically, and let the people at your church know, hey, my little Jenny, my little Patty are going to be babysitting, so on and so forth, and they're CPR certified. That will add $20 to whatever they're charging, because they not only is it just some kid that's going to be there that can dial 911. I have a kid here who can dial 911 and has been certified to make sure that my little Tommy, my little Johnny is going to be taken care of.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You gotta catch up, man. I'm like 5 up, man. Come on now. Don't let me
I'm
overdo you.
I'm over here trying to give away a free course.
Bro, I'm 5 up, man.
You gotta catch up.
What?
I just gave away a 45-minute course for free, bro. Yeah, you got to catch up. You just gave away one idea. I'm trying to tell you.
I'm 5 ideas up, my guy.
I just gave away a free course, bro. That's worth like 10 ideas. Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. I'll take it.
You can drop that link in the chat. I put it. Send it to you.
Oh, there it is. Sorry.
Because I'm not connected on the StreamYard, and if I connect the YouTube to the StreamYard, it'll refresh the window.
Oh, got you.
So
Okay.
I put the link in there so you
All
can.
right. Here's
test
Mike's
that
course
out.
right here
So
on how to start a business. Okay. Dope.
It's a
45
4-part course. It's 45 minutes. I filmed it in 2022. Nothing has changed since then. It tells you how to go through all your paperwork, and it also comes with a free business plan template, a 2-page template. So yeah, you reach out to me. Yeah, I will make sure you get the help you need.
Really?
Special Deborah, the Department of Defense is being audited by the. Oh, they just announced like a few hours ago he's gonna edit. I did audit the Pentagon. Yeah, that's what it is.
Huh. I want the Federal Reserve.
That's
I want the Federal. I want the Fed. Before you do to me, I understand there's going to be so much waste found at the Pentagon. Like, let's get the Federal Reserve under control, but then that's fine.
I mean, the U.S. aid, the U.S. aid alone was
monstrous. Yeah,
monstrous. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do something to him where he won't get through these next 4 years. So I mean,
well,
yeah,
I mean, I don't care. Like by God's grace, he will stay, and Mr. Vance will be ready to pick up in 4 more years because I'm here for it, man.
4 years after that, they're gonna pick Vivek because he's
we got 8 years. So we got 8 years of Vance,
years.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Running for governor. So yeah, I mean they're set for the next 12 years. I mean,
I think so. I think so.
Unless he just I can't see unless he really screws up. I mean, if you free up and then you had the $1 trillion deal with the Japanese dude for the AI.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not big on AI, but the way he bullied that dude into giving $1 trillion is gold.
I wouldn't mind. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't mind if he would go ahead and open up the XL pipeline again, especially since we're closing that border off. And we're, I think, opening the Exxon pipeline. Now, all the other stuff you're doing, the Gulf of America and Panama Canal, all that kind of stuff, I'm fine with.
There's
Panama
you know
Canal's
why?
wild.
No, but you know why? You know I read an article or watched a podcast. They were like, they thought that the changing the name of the Gulf of America.
Yeah,
America.
That was wild.
This is what they said. They said there's parts where he's always talking about drilling. There's parts of the coast of the Gulf of Mexico that he cannot drill on because it's named the Gulf of Mexico. By changing it to the Gulf of America, now he can drill on all the coast along the Texas border, going on up to the whatever the state is there.
Mm-hmm.
They said that him changing the name to Gulf of America was strategic. And then with Colombia and Panama basically announcing that they're no longer going to renew what they had agreements with China that we didn't know about, they announced we're not going to because apparently then this is probably not all the way solidified as far as information, but it was something like that the information that was flowing through the Panama Canal, they had a deal where they had to relay that information to China. So once Trump got back in office, basically he set up all of these channels to start cutting off people from having access to the things that are basically a part of our hemisphere as far as our side of the world. And so a lot of that stuff that we consider is dumb, which you never thought about, he couldn't drill on the Gulf of Mexico, but he changed the name to Gulf of America, and now it's a whole different thing. And then the Panama Canal.
I love it.
They said the Chinese had access to the Panama Canal as far as what was going through the shipping manifest, stuff like that, by taking control of that. And even the thing with Gaza, taking control of Gaza, they're saying it's all strategic. It's not just goofy things that he wants done, but it's stuff we've never talked about, stuff we don't know, and stuff that we don't have the information on. So the idea of rebuilding Gaza and actually moving the Palestinians out, taking them out until Gaza's rebuilt, it actually strengthens what we need to strengthen with our relationships between Israel and stop the war between them. So there's a whole lot of stuff that we just don't talk about. It's just not this, and it's stuff that I don't think the other side wanted us to know. They didn't want us to talk about it. They didn't want us to know that the Department of Education was corrupt. They didn't want us to know. Most of us never heard of the USAID until last week, until he found out they was trying to do a Sesame Street show for $20 million. And then it's like, what? You know, you're spending money. Most of us didn't know that the USAID was siphoning money to Hillary Clinton's daughter through her foundation. So it comes out she got $84 million over the last 4 years from USAID. We don't know none of this stuff. And the thing is, the website was up. You could have went and found it. You just didn't know how to look.
We just didn't know.
And so they did all the research for you. They said, oh, well, we're sending $100 million on education for, you know, the Grown Up Act. And it includes $8 million for contraceptives. Like, what are you
crazy?
Like, crazy stuff. So,
yeah. And I just want to point out, like, as we're seeing those type of things right there, and you're getting kind of doom and gloomy and such like that, I want you to think about, like how Deborah said, like, here, I want y'all to feel hopeful. Like, man, you know, there's hope in, we can do other things. We don't have to sit here and just sit there and look at, you know, the world's coming to an end, you know, sky's falling, but we can get out there and take advantage of some good opportunities that are available to us. And who knows, by the end of the year, by this time, by the fall, this time next year, whatever, you might be in a whole different spot because you didn't sit there sucking on your thumb, looking, you know, saying the sky is falling. But by God's grace, you did something different, got another hustle, got a new job, went and got an education, all that kind of stuff like that. I mean, if the Department of Ed goes away, that would almost guarantee that public education and it's not public education, I'm sorry, college education would possibly change because they're not going to have all the funds available like they did before, which was inflating the price of school. So that might come down, and you might see some sales by the time Chief Executive Secondborn goes to college. It could be a whole different game.
Well, I think me and you should start a business and call it Takes a Village, because when they get rid of Department of Education, they're gonna need a bunch of tutors. So we could just hire tutors all over the United States. They could all tutor via Zoom, right? We can charge your parents a nominal fee. Right?
Nominal fee, nominal fee,
small fee to get you a tutor in any city in America, right? That can help your child read and do basic math or arithmetic or calculus or whatever they don't know how to do right now. And we call it Takes a Village. We're gonna help your kids get back on grade level. Tutoring is gonna be big and get rid of the Department of Education.
Oh, tutoring is gonna be monsters. Well,
yeah, anybody that got time to sit with a kid for 30 minutes a night and get compensated for it? Oh man.
Well, okay. Well, all right. Watch this. Okay. This again, when there's blood in the street, you buy real estate. So today, let's just say that we watched the Department of Education. Let's say the Department of Education never opens up again.
Right.
What's going to happen in 3 months? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I mean, 3 months, you're going to have an influx. I think you're going to have an influx of you're going to have an influx of changes in the schools, right? Because we got schools closing now.
Yep. Come on.
Right now we have schools closing. You're going to have a lot of job openings for teachers, substitute teachers. You're going to have people changing professions because they don't want to. You're going to have a lot of teachers that don't like to teach or are being held accountable. They're going to quit. They don't want to do this. You're going to have people change their professions. And so that's what I think is going to happen.
Got you. Why don't you go invest in one of those Mathnasiums, Kumon, Coding Ninja, one of those places. Those places are going to be popping. If the if the Department of Education never comes back, those places are going to be, they're going to see their stock go through the roof because people are going to be lining up because of the things that Mike just said.
They're going to be lining up. Parents are going to be lining up.
Well,
I got kids.
And there's going to be more money available if they cut that, and you now have the monies that let's just say an extra $600 a month that's not being sent up to Washington D.C. to be funneled back through your school district. Now it's being trimmed off, and you see an extra $6 in your paycheck. You can actually afford these services that you didn't have before. So your child is going to be able to go to, School of Rock, or go to the jujitsu dojo down the street or whatever like that. So there's going to be a lot of availability. So all we got to do is start thinking, okay, what happens if the Department of Ed doesn't come back? Or let's say the Department of Ed comes back, but they are real lean now, super lean. They fix a lot of the problems. They're super lean. There's going to be more. There's going to be a lot of influx in your local county, your local school district. So maybe you should invest in a Kumon, invest in a Mathnasium.
They're not going to bring back 4,400 workers. I can tell you that.
Nah. They might bring back 4.
No way in the world
to lock the doors. That
well,
might be.
They cut the ASID down from 2,200 employees down to 294.
That's 90%.
Yeah,
that's like 80%.
So,
yeah.
Well, he did the same thing with Twitter. He said that when I bought Twitter, I got rid of 80% of the employees because we didn't need 80% of the people working here. We're an online content platform. We need 5 nerds and 6 people doing. I mean, that's what it was. It's to run a digital company to put the right securities in place for a DDoS attacks and hacking and stuff like that. Once you put a solid infrastructure, and I know it takes more than that to run Twitter. I'm saying he figured out we don't need 200 people working here. That's just too much money.
Right.
And so, yeah, they're not bringing back 40. I highly doubt they're bringing back 4,400 people. And I don't think that a lot of the schools by next year will be able to continue to operate at a level where you need 3,000 teachers to teach. Some teachers are going to take a hit on this. I understand that. But to me, I told one educator, is this what you really want to do? And they were like, nah, this is not even my dream job. I said, okay, so then maybe you should be working toward your dream job while you have a job. So you get your business set up while you have the funds and finance instead of crying about you getting ready to lose your job. Instead of just saying you're getting ready to lose your job, prepare for the inevitable that maybe your job might be eliminated. Maybe you might not be in that department, but you just admitted it's not what you want to do anyway. So you got 6 months, work towards that because it's a lot easier to start. It's a lot easier to move on and start something on your own than it is than it was when I was coming up. Like it's mad easier. Technology, AI, video editors, all these different types of things that that you can do now are so much more accessible than they were.
Absolutely.
And we just in jest gave you 7 to 10 ideas that you can start in a week. With the exception of the last idea where you have to invest in something.
Yeah.
All the rest of these ideas are attainable from your home, and your kids can do this stuff, and you can train them and be business owners in the next quarter and be, maybe not ready to walk off a job, but if we can help you do with these ideas, make a $500, $600, $700, $800, an extra $1,000 a month. I mean, why not? These are simple jobs. And if you want to be racially insensitive, other ethnicities didn't mind doing them and thrived at them. Thrived.
And yeah, I agree 100%.
Molly Maid out here has fleet of cars.
Yeah. Oh, y'all got Molly Maid out there?
Right, bro.
Oh, Molly Maid. Yeah. Molly Maid be crushing it.
They got a fleet. And every last one of them is not they're not from here.
No.
They work. They do an excellent job. They show up and
let me start that. Let me start this fight right here. You better not try to tell me that the work that Molly Maids does, house cleaning, is native to only a particular melanin content or ethnicity group. I've never the woman that comes to my house, she has a rotating staff of young ladies that come with her or that come and clean my house, but I've never seen a highly melanated cleaning crew. I've never seen a
I'm sure they exist.
I'm sure they do too, but I'm just saying, like, most people, and down my street, if I ever see their house cleaners or whatnot, there are certain people group that's not highly melanated group.
I've never pulled up to a Home Depot and seen a bunch of us sitting out there ever.
You ain't seen a bunch of Leroy's?
Nope.
Cletus,
no Ty
Cleotis,
no the Travions.
No.
No, I ain't seen none of them.
We're gonna get in trouble. Stop it. We're gonna get in trouble. Don't get us in trouble.
I'm not trying. Listen, it's okay for other people to talk about this and be highly okay saying it. But when we talk about it, oh, y'all saying something wrong. It's not even to be racist or stereotypical. We're just telling you the truth. I've never pulled up and say, hey, Andre, can you come help me paint a house? No, never happened. Jaqueline, come here. Can you help me? I ain't never pulled up that way. I'm just saying it's never happened. Hey, Aaron, never pulled up and seen none of them. Not a Marquise, not a Deshaun. I never even seen a Tyler. Huh? Just keep it a buck.
I can't stand you.
I'm not even trying. You could be mad at me if you want. It's the truth. And now that people are saying, it's funny, I've heard this on mostly left-wing shows. Well, who's going to do the work? Why don't you do the work?
Why don't you do the work? Like, yeah, like why are you proud of that question? Why are you proud of that question?
Because it takes the focus off of the problem and the concern. That's why. It takes the focus off of the accountability to say that we can't function unless we're, and it's almost degrading to say that we need a specific type of race of a specific legal status for us to function. Is that not the definition of racism?
I think you might be onto something there, my friend. You might be onto something. No, I agree with you 100%, my friend. You said what?
I'm like the Black Scott Jennings.
You wild.
You know what? If CNN wanted to get their ratings up, they should put out an application to fly a random in every week on a Friday and just let them sit on the panel. Let's just pick a random dude out. No, we got to bring them into the studio because they're gonna get the right one one day. They're gonna get the right one. It's gonna have like the Cat Williams effect. Like we didn't know what Cat Williams was gonna do when Shannon Sharp picked him, and that reverberated just throughout the rest of the year and still having. They're gonna fly the wrong Leroy in. They're going to think that he agrees with them, and then they're going to have him on TV, and he is going to give us sound bites of the year. Yeah, I would love to see that in person. The View, they should fly in one random woman every Friday and let her sit on View and let a regular person talk to these people. That would be so hilarious.
Let me stop you real quick. Because one of the questions I don't think people realize is that what is going to obviously happen is that the prices of things would increase. That is probably more true than false. So you're not going to be able to pay if all of your watermelon patch workers disappear tomorrow and you had to hire new people, you're going to pay more. You're going to probably pay more. And that being the case, because you're paying more, that means watermelon prices are going to change. Right. And that means people are probably not going to buy as many watermelons, and you're going to augment your pricing, and you're going to move around and maybe not sell as many watermelons, or maybe sell something else besides watermelons. That's just the natural ebb and flow of society. If you're building your whole deal off of cheap labor, don't be surprised. I mean, that sounds like a problem they had back about 100, 120, 130 years ago. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you need to come up with some others. But then also automation is going to come in play. There's going to be a lot of automation solutions that fix a lot of these problems. So the picking fruit argument, I hear that from a lot of people. The picking fruit argument is just one of the lowest one. No, I tried to give you ideas that were a little bit highbrow, that at least a little bit of automation are safe for the time being. But I wouldn't sit there and worry about that. Okay.
Look, if they figured out how to get cotton out the field, they're going to figure out how to get the fruit off the trees. You know
yeah, they are.
They're going to figure it out.
They're going to figure it out.
That's just what it is, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm not. If making this where we live better is the goal, it's going to come with some things that we don't like. That's what it is. I am not the send everybody home person, but I understand it. I am not the person that you should be separating parents from their kids, but I understand it. I'm not that guy. But the thing is, what's crazy part is we get this rule everywhere else. We get the rule of membership in a gym. We get the rule of membership in a church. We get the rule of membership at our jobs. We get the rule of membership at a library. We get it. We get it for everywhere but our country. Yeah, we get it. We get it for everywhere but where we're at now. And so I think we'll be fine. I think something like only 2% of people that are here from another country are agricultural. The other 98% do other jobs. Now, I could see it having a problem in construction. For sure. Yeah, that might be a problem because I'm not finna work all day for $200 a day. If you need me to cut up wood, you need to pay me fair market wage. Yes, that might drive up the prices of homes. Yes, that might make carpentry work and different skilled labor. I get that. But for me to say I need you to stay so you can do my work, it's no better than the alternative.
Right.
I'm basically saying, as you said, let's keep cheap labor so that my iPhone and our Android phones can say cheap. That's not
right.
That's not right. No. And anybody who has a who can't see that, in my opinion, should reevaluate their position. It's nothing wrong with, because we understand don't break laws everywhere else. We're not supposed to speed. We're not supposed to steal. Like all the other laws we agree with, except this one law or this one layout. And it doesn't make sense. Everywhere else, if there was a bad movie, we're not going back to see it. If it's a bad restaurant, we're not going to eat at that restaurant. If you date somebody and they're horrible, you're going to break up with them. But the Department of Education is horrible and you want to keep it. How come your logic doesn't work there? It doesn't make sense.
There you go. No, I'm 1,000% with you. And also just look for, there's going to be new opportunities that are available. And we joked about this, but most of if you are a YouTube content consumer and you came on since the pandemic, 2020, almost, would you say 80% of the technology that we're using today was not available, infantile, or has come since the pandemic? Is that fair, Mike?
We didn't have Opus when we started YouTube to
No.
make our shorts. They have software now. I just figured out in OBS how I can do automatic switching where I don't even have to run the switcher anymore. We didn't have automatic gain control for podcasting and the cameras that we had and the ATM mini switchers and stuff and all of this different AI editing software that can automatically edit your podcast, write your titles.
You overdoing the audience. Don't remember the audience are consumers.
Oh, well, I'm just
But
saying.
the point that you're making, yes, there's a lot of behind the scenes technology that wasn't available 4 years ago. That
No, it
wasn't
wasn't.
available 5 years ago.
And now it's almost free.
right.
Now
Yeah, I remember.
it's come out, it went for a high price, and then competition came out, and now
There you
all
go.
the stuff we use is affordable.
Right. Y'all remember
Very
Skype?
affordable.
Y'all remember Skype? That was the only thing
Yeah.
that we had back then. Remember Skype and Zoom?
And again-
Those are the only two that we had when the pandemic started. Now, who
Everybody's
uses
Zoom.
Skype? Who uses Skype for real? No, not very many people. Who uses Zoom? Not many, but who uses Restream and OBS and StreamYard? All of us. And those things weren't there before the pandemic. So EV Mux and all these other ones. So my point is there's so many new pieces of technology that are going to pop up if the things that Trump is doing continue. And so
I remember
therefore,
I think I was on the phone with you the day EV Mux came out.
I remember,
'Cause
yeah.
I
I remember
jumped
you
on
were
the-
so excited about it. I remember.
Yeah, because I jumped on the video and the owner jumped on the, like, we're at a place now where you can find the software and the software can come out and the owner of the company might come to your stream, or they might send you an email, or they might, they might have some interaction for you in what you're doing. Like, it was before the pandemic, there was no way in the world I would have met a CEO online to a company. Now they're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You might meet them in the chat. Some of them are doing their own YouTube videos. Some of the CEOs are doing their own YouTube
Content.
marketing.
Yeah.
So crazy.
So yeah, I would just say, hey, if your neighbors and your friends and family members are sucking their thumbs in the corner, go do something else. Get away from them. Go find some, walk around the pawn shop. You'd be surprised what you can be inspired at. Walk around a flea market and just see like what new technologies are popping up and new opportunities are popping up. Because again, who'd have thought that you can be gainfully employed talking to a camera in your office at your home? Say that out loud. Like, who saw that coming? But
And you're to the point now where if you create an ebook or a service, you don't even have to wait for monetization like we had to wait. Now you can actually create spaces and stuff where you can do different things that you can get now that you don't have to wait for. And I've just been encouraging everybody, find a side hustle, because you never know, your side hustle might turn into your main hustle. Then you got a decision to make. Do I keep rocking this out, or do I go hard in the paint and do, because I think everybody has a skill set. And I think with being able to talk to people like Jason or people that are in the field, they can give you an idea and make you think about some things that, you didn't necessarily think about. That's my opinion. I'm not saying everybody needs to be on YouTube or everybody needs a content creator. What I'm saying is there's a skill set you have that you could be sharing with the world, and people will pay you for it.
Absolutely.
It could be anything. And a company will pay you for it, but why let a company limit your pay when you have the opportunity to do some stuff on the side? That's just my opinion right now.
No, I agree 100%. 100%. All right, Mike, appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
No problem. I want to go home. I'm tired. I'm on a 14-hour day. It's wild.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
What's
This is my only caution. What's the last one? My only caution. Check your state laws.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
There you go. Check your state laws. Many states, especially blue, have strict regulations on employment. Yeah, they do, and I covered that in my class. I covered the paper. I covered all the paperwork you need to be self-employed, and I cover a few things about taxes that you'll have to know as a self-employed person.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too deep, but I cover enough for you to get started in your state in a week with whatever you need and be legit. And so, yeah, I cover that in the class because I know that everybody, especially when you get into business dealings and stuff like that, sometimes the stuff that you want to do, if you don't do enough research, you can find yourself on the outside looking in. But I covered that in the class. There's some very different things you have to do. You have to look up. But I think if you go through the class and you have any questions, you can always get through.
Can you drop that link? Wait, do I have your link still? Hold on. I might still have
it should be in the other.
Yeah, I got it right here. Sorry, I got it.
Drop that in there a few times. Maybe put it in the description. But yeah,
I'll change it and add that to the description. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll put it in there. It's completely free. Just go on there, and if you have any questions, just reach out. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to lend 6 minutes to your time, because the 7 minutes I got to see your invoice. That's my business.
Control.
Yeah, that's my business. I give you 6 minutes free.
The lead attorney.
Yeah.
As lead. That's so hilarious. All right, I'm gonna put that in the in the description of this video. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you go.
All right. Y'all, thank y'all so much, y'all. I appreciate it, man. Mike, that was a lot of fun, man. Appreciate you following on through, man.
I'm sorry I missed Monday. I forgot. You said we was gonna do something on Monday, and then you covered the did you cover the Fulton, not the Fulton.
The Dalton. Yeah, I had Dalton on Monday. Yep.
Yeah, we were supposed to do Dalton, and I looked up and you were doing it, and I was like, oh well, I'll catch him on the next show.
Okay. Well, you're always welcome. You know that.
I know more about this stuff than I did the Dalton anyway. I had read a little bit about it, but I was like, I don't know about that one.
It's all good, brother. It is all good. But all right, get out of here, man. All right, real quick, everybody. Right. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. I appreciate y'all tonight. We just wanted to talk a little bit about the the Department of Education, it being closed, and just some of the things, hopefully, to encourage you all to not look at what's going on around you, but look to Christ, have hope, and go out there and do something great, because other people are not doing it. So I appreciate y'all so much. Let's get ready to do this again real soon. I'll probably see you maybe during the Super Bowl. Maybe we'll do like a little shout out during the Super Bowl. But I am going to go to the square tomorrow. So if I see them people out there protesting, there'll be an emergency. There'll be an emergency live stream while we're talking to protesters tomorrow. But we'll see what happens. So I appreciate you all. And until next time, grace and peace.
Hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.